our department marks the day our dream becomes a magnificent reality. A total of 37 research papers were submitted from various locations like Bangalore, Trivandrum, and across Tamil Nadu. Among these, 17 exceptional works were meticulously selected. These remarkable contributions have been compiled, published, and are now ready to be unveiled before you as a prestigious ISBN proceedings. We are honored to have two esteemed reviewers from Christ University, Dr. Rajesh Khanna and Dr. D. Mohanapriya, whose invaluable expertise and support as member of the review committee guided the selections and acceptance of these exceptional papers. On the behalf of our organizational committee, it is my honor and privilege to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to this international conference on generative AI breakthroughs and methodologies for writing impactful research papers. First and foremost things, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to our esteemed chief guest, Dr. N. Sundarajan sir, NTU Singapore, and Dr. V. Masilamani sir, IITM Chennai, whose presence adds immense value to this event. We are truly privileged to have you with us, sir. Welcome, sir. I also take this opportunity, Secretary, sir, through P.N. Venkatachalam, sir, whose vision and unwavering support have always been a guided force in fostering academic excellence. Welcome you, sir. A very special welcome to our principal ma'am, Mrs. S.A. Dhanalakshmi ma'am, whose encouragement and leadership continue to inspire us in all our endeavors. Welcome you, ma'am. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed Dean ma'am, Dr. P.M. Gom. Welcome you, ma'am. And Head of Department Uma Maheshwari ma'am. Welcome ma'am and welcome sir. And our faculty members who have worked tirelessly to bring this event to life and are all pillars of support for the all academic initiatives. A special mention and warm welcome to all the research scholars, students, staff members and participants, both national and international, who have joined us today. Your presence here demonstrates your commitment to learning, innovation and collaboration in the ever-evolving generative field of AI. Today's conference focuses on exploring the breakthroughs in the generative AI and its impact of writing the impactful research papers. This is a field that is reshaping the way we approach the knowledge creation and disseminations. Through today's sessions, we aim to provide a platform to discuss the latest developments, ethical considerations, and practical applications of generative AI in academic and professional writing. I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizing committee for the meticulous planning and efforts ensuring the success of this event. Let us take this opportunity to learn from one another, share the ideas, and explore the new possibilities. I am confident that the insights and discussions from today's conference will inspire you innovative thinking and contribute to the growth of your dynamic field. Once again, I warmly welcome one of you to this conference. Let us make this event a memorable and impactful experience for all. Thank you and wish you a fruitful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
To a realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Innovation is the lifeblood of any organization. I solicit the chief guest to release the conference proceedings.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Rajan retired and completed PhD in electrical engineering from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign in 1971. From 1972 to 1991, he worked in Indian Space Research Organization, Trivandrum, India, starting as control system designer to director, Launch Vehicles Design Group, contributing to the design and development of Indian satellite launch vehicles SLV-3, ASLV, PSLV, and GSLV. He worked as a project engineer mission for the first Indian satellite launch vehicle project SLV-3 team, working directly under Dr. Kalam. He was also Bangalore, India. During November 2003, Dr. Sundararajan is a Life Fellow of IEEE and Associate Fellow of AIAA and also a Fellow of Institute of Engineers, IAS, Singapore. Professor Narasimha Sundararajan sir has travelled a very long distance to join us today. As a leading authority in the computing field, he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to share with us. I respectfully entreat Professor Sundararajan sir to take over the session.
Student pointer ma இது வந்து எந்துங்க ஓகே இல்ல அது ஒர்க் ஆச்சு அடுத்த ஸ்லைட் இது வராது அடுத்தது முதல்ல போடுங்க நான் அடுத்தது மாற்றி குட் மார்னிங் ஹலோ when I say good morning you have to say good morning தூங்காதீங்க தமிழ்ல பேசலாம் இல்லையா ரொம்ப நேரம் கழிச்சு தூங்காதீங்க சொல்றேன் எல்லாம் முன்னுக்கு வாங்க பின்னாடி உட்காராதீங்க வந்த உடனே பின்னுக்கு போகாதீங்க வாழ்க்கையில எல்லாருமே முன்னுக்கு வரணும்னு சொல்றாங்க அதுவும் நீங்க எல்லாம் முன்னுக்கு வரணும் ரெண்டு பேர் தான் முன்னுக்கு வாங்கன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க செல்ஃப் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இல்லாம யாரு ஆசிரியர் இன்னொருத்தர் கண்டக்டர் இல்ல முன்ன எங்க காலத்துல குதிரை வண்டிக்காரர் லோடு பேலன்ஸ் ஆகும் ஸோ எல்லாம் நாங்கெல்லாம் முன்னுக்கு வாங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்கோம் ஓகே நான் அதான் மேடத்திட்ட கேட்டேன் தமிழ்ல பேசலாமான்னு நார்மலி ஸோ ஐ வில் மிக்ஸ் போத் இங்கிலீஷ் அண்ட் தமிழ் பட் நீங்கள்லாம் தமிழ் தானே தமிழ்நாட்டில் தமிழில் பேசலைன்னா அப்புறம் என்ன சில பாயிண்ட் எல்லாம் தமிழில் சொன்னால் தான் டக்குன்னு போகும் அதனால சொல்லிட்டு தமிழ் தெரியாதவங்க இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்ல நான் இங்கிலீஷில் டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்ணி சொல்கிறேன் ஓகேங்களா இது ஓகே சொல்லுங்க பதில் சொல்லுங்க ஓகே ஓகே ஐ எம் வெரி ஹாப்பி டு பி ஹியர் தேங்க்ஸ் ஃபார் த மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் ஆஃப் த காலேஜ் and Sarina madam and the dean madam. So very happy to be here. I told madam also yesterday I agreed only because it's women's college. Normally because my wife is like that because we will go and help a lot of people, especially ladies, because they can do wonderful work. So give them a rice. So it's difficult, you know, coming to Coimbatore, then go to Chittipalayam and then doing all that. Normally, for a long time I wanted to come to Gobi. You know why? என்ன நிறைய சினிமா பார்த்துருக்கேன் எல்லாம் இங்கே பார்த்தோன்னா இப்படி கூட ஊர் இருக்கா அப்படின்னு ஆல்வேஸ் தட் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் வாஸ் தேர் ஸோ திஸ் பட் ஐ டோன்ட் நோ வெதர் ஐ கேன் see it or not, but happy to be here and do this. And normally the other talk is on generative AI and current application and all that. But if you are working on that, you have to write a paper, right? That's the main thing. And I'm doing this for a long time as a service. Okay. Before I start, I want to ask, how many of you are doing PhD? How many are undergraduate? Very good. Because audience is important. So you are all going to do projects, right? So you are all also requested to write papers, right? So you can take that as a thing, motivation for doing a good project and writing a good paper out of that. Is that okay? Okay. How many have done PhD? Faculty? Many of them. Why they are attending? Because you already know, right? You have published all that, and why? You can put your students in the right direction. I have not, nobody taught me like this, so I feel I would have done a better job if somebody told me like that. So, lifelong learning, develop that habit for you also. Where budding matter, I am not relations, I mean, not relevant to me. அப்படி நினைக்கவே நினைக்காதீங்க. எதுவாக இருந்தாலும் படித்து கற்க கசடர கற்ப, அவ்வளோதான். படிச்சுட்டு யூஸ் இல்லைன்னா விட்டுருங்க, அது எப்போவாது யூஸ் ஆகும். ஓகே. ஸோ இதை போட்டாங்களா? ஓகே. Now first, I always interact, you guys have to reply. Correct? Is that okay? If you have any question, please raise your hand. We will discuss. Generally the session will be useful. Otherwise, நான் வரேன், நான் ஏதோ சொல்கிறேன், நீங்கள் ஏதோ கேட்குறீங்க, போயிடுறீங்க, காற்றுல வாங்கினேன், அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கக்கூடாது. ஓகேயா? ஓகே. How to write an effective research paper? My first question is, what is research? You are all doing research, right? Research na enna? In simple terms, I am not asking for a definition. Your idea of what is research, you please tell me.
It's in-depth knowledge on a particular topic.
In-depth knowledge. Madam, நீங்கள் PhDனா ரிசர்ச் பண்ணுறீங்க. ஸோ நீங்கள் ஒரு thesis எழுதணும். நீங்கள் சொல்கிறதெல்லாம் பிளாப்ளாவாக இருக்கக்கூடாது. In-depth research on a topicனா என்ன?
What we are going to research.
Main, okay, I will put the different way. What is the main criteria? Suppose you are doing research 2 years, 3 years, and then you are producing something. What is the main criteria that research output should satisfy? நீங்கள் ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணாலும் என்ன சொல்லுங்க? நியூ. அது ரொம்ப ரொம்ப முக்கியம். Whatever your other things are okay. Solving problems, scientific questions, deep understanding, all that is okay. But if you are doing research, at the end of the research, what you produce should be new. I want to claim that it come out of my research. So essentially, I am saying it is new. If I want to claim something as new, what you should have done before? How do you know? All the PhD scholars can answer. How do you know what is current? Literature survey. That is why you look at literature survey. At the end of literature survey, you should know what is current in your area where you are going to work. இது பண்ணலன்னா நீங்க வேஸ்ட். ஓகே, ஐ டேக் ஆல் பாடன். நான் வந்து சில சமயம் யூஸ்லெஸ், வேஸ்ட், லெஃப்ட் அண்ட் ரைட் சொல்லுவேன். நத்திங் பர்சனல். கரெக்டா? பாயிண்ட் ரொம்ப முக்கியம், அதனால நான் சொல்றேன். இது ஓகே? ஸோ யூ ஷுட் ப்ரொடியூஸ் சம்திங் நியூ. And to know what is new, you should know what is current in that area. The way you do what is current is literature survey. And very important, depending on the area in which you are working, AI, machine learning, all that thing, what is current now will not be current after 2 weeks. It is not enough if you know what is current at the beginning. You should track the state continuously. Even after PhD and you graduate, you go out, and PhD is not the end, PhD is the beginning of your research career. So, if you are a research scientist, you should know what is current in your area at all times. That's not easy. Develop the habit over a period. வீட்டுக்கு போறீங்க, சத்தியமங்கலம் போறீங்க, உங்க அப்பா வந்து இந்த ஏரியாவில் இல்லை, பிஎஸ்சியில் இல்லை, பிஎஸ்சி அக்ரிகல்ச்சரிஸ்ட். அதை நீங்கள் என்னம்மா அங்கே போய் பண்ணுற அப்படின்னு கேட்டாருன்னா நீங்கள் என்ன சொல்லுவீங்க? ரிசர்ச் பண்ணுறேன் அப்படிங்க. எனக்கு ரிசர்ச் எல்லாம் தெரியல, கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுன்னா என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? என்ன சொல்லணும்? இப்போ ஆன்சர் சொன்னேங்க, என்ன சொல்லணும்? புதுசாக கண்டுபிடிச்சி கீழ்ச்சியன் அப்படிங்கணும். என்னத்தை கீழ்ச்சியான்னு கேட்பாரு அவர். அடுத்தது வேல்யூ. கரெக்டா? நான் கண்டுபிடிச்சேன், அடுத்தது வேல்யூ. கரெக்டா? நான் கண்டுபிடிச்சேன், இப்போ இந்த ஏரியாவில் நிறைய நோயெல்லாம் வருது பிளான்ஸுக்கு, நான் கண்டுபிடிச்ச மருந்தை தூக்கி போட்டேன்னா எல்லாம் ஒரு 2 நாளில் சரியாயிடும். அதை நீங்கள் சொல்லணும். அதாங்க ரிசர்ச். ஒன்றும் பெரிய இது இல்லை, ஆனால் ரொம்ப கஷ்டம்தான். புதுசாக எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது, அதை கண்டுபிடிச்சாலும் அது எப்படி அது வேல்யூ இருக்குன்னு சொல்கிறது, அது எல்லாம் நீங்கள் ப்ரூவ் பண்ணணும். Is that clear? Okay. That is what is research. What is a research paper? எதுக்கு உங்களை போட்டு டார்ச்சர் பண்றாங்க? பேப்பர் எழுதுன்னு. Why you should talk the yeah, but why? Research paper is okay. Why should okay? What is a research paper? Research paper is what you have found new. What is the value? Yeah, right. Why you should write a paper? நீங்க கண்டுபிடிச்சீங்க, நீங்க யூஸ் பண்ணுங்க. Why you should write? Who are the other people? People working in that area. For people working in that area, you want to communicate, I have found something new, something valuable. The purpose of a research paper, not a summary of work you have done. Most of you write like that. இது பண்ணேன், இங்கே பிப்பெட் எடுத்தேன், அதில் இத்தனை போட்டேன், இது வந்தது, இதான் இது. அது லேப் ரிப்போர்ட். Should you write? Yes, you have to write. Whenever you do research, when you do experiment, when you do simulation, you have to write complete report and keep it with you and your advisor. Why? Because that is a technical logbook of what you have done. That is not the paper. So you have to digest what is new, what is the message you want to say, and what is the value out of that, and write a paper. Is that clear? So research paper is, you say that I have found something new, valuable to people working in that area. You want to communicate. You should not sit on it without nobody knowing on it. Very important. Then what is the effective research paper? How do you say you have published that? So then how do I say the paper has to be effective? Huh? Not konja யோசிங்க. Very important in research. Thinking. So you have found something new, something valuable. Some method it takes 1 hour, I have done it in 10 minutes, you have published also. How does it become effective? Other people are using your work to go further. What is the indicator for that? What is the indicator that you know that somebody is using your work? Citation. The citation will increase over a period of time. Others are using your work to go further. If your work is hot, a lot of people will be using and your citation will increase. Increasing the citation will not be done by writing, it will not help. By the work you do, the value you add, that is important. Is that clear? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You write a report. நீங்க பண்ணதெல்லாம் எழுதுங்க. லேப் ரிப்போர்ட் எழுதுறீங்களா, எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட் இப்போ லேப் ரிப்போர்ட் எழுதுறீங்களா, இதை கனெக்ட் பண்ணேன், இது அப்படி போட்டேன், இதுலேருந்து இவ்வளோ வந்தது, இதான் ரெக்கார்டிங், அதோட டேட்டா எல்லாமே வச்சுருக்கீங்களா, அதை வைங்க. You have to do that first. Out of that you distill what is the message, what is new, what is its value. உங்களுக்கே தெரியாது முதல்ல. You have to think through and look at it and வரும் சொல்லியா சரி அதை கனெக்ட் பண்ணு. ஓகே ஒர்க் பண்ணுங்க. ஏதோ ப்ராப்ளம், அந்த சிஸ்டம் தான் ஏதோ ப்ராப்ளம். இப்போ வருதா? புரியுங்க. அப்போ இதை கனெக்ட் பண்ணுங்க. இந்த சிஸ்டம் ஹேங் ஆகுது. Okay, what is research? What is a research paper? What is an effective paper? We discussed, right? Are you clear? Research is new, valuable. Research paper is you are writing and communicating to all the people working in that area. And if they start using it and going effective paper. And the citations will not increase immediately. Within 1 year, nothing will happen. You have to wait for 3-4 years. then the citation will slowly increase. Correct? So that is the main purpose. What are the steps? Okay, again the question. Prepare, compose, revision. So what is the meaning? You get all the material, you write the internal report and keep it. Out of that you organize all the material. Then compose means you start writing. The third one is the revision. Which one is important here? Out of the three processes, right? Major. Preparing. Any other answer? Composing. Other answer. Ellame tappu. The main answer is revise, revise, revise. Don't send. That's the mantra for this paper writing. Your tendency, as soon as you write, you want to send. It will come back. குமுதத்துக்கு கதை எழுதி அனுப்பினீங்கன்னா திரும்பி வந்துடும். அடுத்தது ஆனந்தவுடன் அனுப்பிடுங்க. அதே அதுவும் ரிஜெக்ட் ஆகும். குங்குமத்துக்கு அனுப்பிடுங்க. இந்த மாதிரிலாம் பண்ணாதீங்க. பேப்பர் போனால் அக்செப்ட் ஆகணும். ஒரு பேப்பரும் அக்செப்ட் ஆகாது. I can tell you straight. Nothing will be accepted as it is. If it is accepted with minor revision, you have done a great job. But most of the time it doesn't happen. Most of the time your paper, if something useful is there, will undergo major revision. So they will ask you, a reviewer will ask comments and you have to modify, and they will not accept. They will review again and then decide whether to accept or not. At that time your paper should get accepted. திரும்பி வரக்கூடாது. Okay? So this last bullet is very important. Revise, revise, revise. அது வச்சுக்கோங்க. எது எழுதினாலும் அனுப்பாதீங்க. That's what I am going to discuss. Okay. What is research? We did this, right? All problems. எல்லாம் கரெக்ட் தான். மேடம் சொன்னதெல்லாம் கரெக்ட் தான். But very important to produce something new, valuable. I didn't put that. மனசில் வச்சுக்கோங்க. புதுசாக ஏதாவது வீட்டில் எல்லாரும் கேட்பாங்க, நீ என்ன கண்டுபிடிச்சி கிழிச்சியான்னு. அதே தான் கேட்க ரிசர்ச். கிழிச்சியானா என்னது? பழைய மெத்தடெல்லாம் கிழிச்சு போட்டு புது மெத்தடை யூஸ் பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொல்கிறீங்க. அதுதான். What is an effective research paper? Yeah. You are telling all the others working in that area, I have found something new, valuable. So you are expanding the current knowledge, okay, whatever in that area. And then others are using the paper to expand the knowledge. You don't want to write a write-only paper. You write, nobody reads. What is the purpose? Useless work. நிறைய பேப்பர் அப்படி தான் இருக்கு. அந்த மாதிரி பண்ணாதீங்க. Okay, let's go further. Okay, suppose you are working in an area. Now I am trying to illustrate this with graphic figure. What does the figure indicate? What do you see here? உங்க என்ன ஐடியா வருதோ அதை சொல்லுங்க. Let me see whether your thinking is going in the right direction. இது என்னது? எனக்கு தெரியும். நீங்க என்னத்தையோ போட்டு நீங்க என்னமோ மனசுல வச்சுக்கிட்டு என்ன வந்து கேளு. நீங்க என்ன பாக்குறீங்க? ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க. என்னது இது? You are doing research, madam. அதில் வந்து நீங்க PhD ரிசர்ச்னா புதுசாக ஏதாவது கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். அந்த பாயிண்ட்டுக்காக இந்த படத்தை போட்டிருக்கீங்க. படம் என்ன காமிக்குது? நீங்க ஏதோ பைத்தியகாரத்தனமா எதையோ போட்டுவிட்டு எங்களை போட்டு உயிரை வாங்குறீங்க அப்படிங்கிறாங்க பின்னாடி. அதெல்லாம் கரெக்டு தான். பட் சொல்லுங்க, ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க. Try. Any answer is okay. Don't worry whether right or wrong. In research, actually, research means if you know exactly what you are doing, it is not research.
Flow should be right. Flow fighting.
Illa, madam. Now, research I am doing, working in some area, so it should represent some of that. Not the writing part. I'm just. Ending point same. Area of interest. You say that in a different way.
Objective work.
It's completed.
இல்ல அந்த முதல்ல அந்த ஃபிகர் என்னன்னு சொல்லுங்க. ஒரு கர்வு சர்க்கிளா இல்ல ஏதோ பைத்தியக்கார மாதிரி ஒரு கர்வு போட்டுருக்கீங்க. ஸோ வாட் டஸ் இட் ரெப்ரசன்ட்? உங்க காலேஜை சுத்தி என்ன இருக்கு? காம்பவுண்ட். இது காம்பவுண்டா? பவுண்டரி சார், அதான் சார் வேணும். பவுண்டரி ஆஃப் வாட்? அதுக்குள்ள இருக்கிறது என்ன? Knowledge, current knowledge in that area. So this is the boundary. That's what I want to represent. இதில் எல்லா ஏரியாலையும் நீங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ண முடியுமா? முடியாது. நேரோவாக பண்ணணும். அது நேரோவாக பண்ணணும்னா என்ன பண்ணணும் இந்த ஃபிகரில்? கரெக்டா? நேரோ டவுன் த ஏரியா and you know what is current. What does this represent? Sir, இது இங்க போக மாட்டேங்குது, இதில் காமிக்க மாட்டேங்குது. அந்த லைன் இருக்கு இல்லையா, the red line between the two sectors, I mean two lines of the sector, what does it represent? Current knowledge in your domain. What you are trying to do? You are trying to produce something new. So what are you doing to the curve? Expand. Expand the boundary at least by epsilon. Epsilon is a small amount. But very important, epsilon should be positive. நீங்க நான் பண்ணிட்டேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி பேப்பரை எழுதி அனுப்பிச்சு reviewer says epsilon is negative, your paper will get rejected. அதுக்கப்புறம் இந்த லைன் இருக்கு இல்லையா, அந்த பவுண்டரி லைன், கரண்ட் நாலேஜ், அதில் வந்து ஹோல்ஸ் இருக்கக்கூடாது. யூ ஷுட் நோ எக்ஸாக்ட்லி வாட் இஸ் கரண்ட். நான் பண்ணேங்க, இந்த பேப்பர் கிடைக்கல, ஸோ அதை விட்டேன், அந்த பேப்பரில் தான் இருக்கு போல் இருக்கு அப்படின்னு அதெல்லாம் சொல்ல முடியாது. இஸ் இட் வெரி கிளியர்? இதாங்க பண்ணுறீங்க, உங்கள் பவுண்டரியை விரிச்சுக்கிட்டே போகிறீங்க. Is it clear? That is what I said. The paper conveys that part. What is new, what is valuable. Clear? Okay, let's go further. So, நீங்கள் எல்லாம் நிறையா பண்ணிட்டீங்க, எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க, நிறையா ரிசல்ட்டு. Very important point, you have to select the journal first. You don't write for any journal. You select the journal first and then write the paper further. அதெல்லாம் டிசைட் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னு வச்சுங்க. நீங்கள் முதல்ல பண்ணணும், எல்லா டேட்டாவும் இருக்குது, your results are very good and your journal selection also very good, everything is done. Now you have to write that. What is the first thing you should do? எங்கே அதை ஆரம்பிப்பீங்க? All of you are already doing, some of you, right? So you can say where you will start. அப்படிலாம் இல்லை மேடம், ப்ராப்ளம் பண்ணி நீங்கள் சால்வ் பண்ணி டேட்டா எல்லாம் வச்சுருக்கீங்க, நீங்கள் பேப்பர் மாத்திரம் எழுதணும். எங்கேருந்து ஆரம்பிப்பீங்க? அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்டுங்கிறாங்க, அப்புறம் இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன், அப்புறம் டைட்டில், எல்லாத்தையும் சொல்லிடுங்க. எல்லாமே தப்பு, எல்லாம் தப்பு. அதனால தான் ப்ராப்ளம் பேப்பர். அது உங்கள் பேப்பரை சப்மிட் பண்ண உடனே ரிஜெக்ட் ஆகி வருது. நீங்கள் உங்கள் ரியாக்ஷன் என்ன? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் நீங்கள் வந்து ஆஹா நான் பெருசாக பண்ணியிருக்கேன்னு நினச்சி அனுப்பிடுங்க, அடி மண்டல் அடித்து அனுப்பிச்சிடணும். ஆக்சுவலாக ஸ்லைடு இருக்குது, இதில் வருதான்னு தெரியல இருக்கு. அப்போ நீங்கள் முதல் ரியாக்ஷன் என்ன? சேட், தட்ஸ் ஓகே. அது தவிர அடுத்தது நீங்கள் எல்லாம் சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கிறீங்க. நான் சொல்கிறேன், ரிவ்யூவருக்கு நான் பண்ண ஒர்க்கு புரியல சொல்லுவீங்களே. ரிவ்யூவருக்கு ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லைங்க, உங்களுக்கு ப்ராப்ளம். நீங்கள் கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணல ப்ராப்பராக, ரிவ்யூவருக்கு தெரியல. He didn't understand my work. I have also done that. ஸோ அது இல்லை, என்ன பண்ணணும், நீங்கள் ஃபிலாசபர் மாதிரி இருக்கணும். அதனால் PhD கிடைக்கிறது. யூ பிகம் அல்டிமேட்லி லைக் ஃபிலாசபர்னா யார்? பைத்தியக்காரன், ஒரு நாடு பேசிகிட்டு இருப்பாரு, திங்க் பண்ணி அந்த மாதிரி ஆயிடுவீங்க. 3rd இயர் 4th இயர் PhDயில் நடக்கும். இது நடக்கலைன்னா நீங்கள் PhDயே பண்ணல. நிஜமா நாங்கள் எல்லாருமே பண்ணியிருக்கோம். PhD பண்ணணும்னா கெட் ரெடி டு பிகம் பைத்தியக்காரன். இந்த 3rd 4th இயர் ராத்திரி 2 மணிக்கு லேபுக்கு போயிட்டு இருப்பான், அவன் ஏதாவது ஒரு யோசிச்சுட்டே போயிட்டு இருப்பான். அதெல்லாம் நார்மல், ஜோக்குக்காக சொல்லுவேன். ஓகேயா? அப்போ என்ன கேள்வி கேட்கணும்? டைம் இல்லை, அதனால நான் சீக்கிரம் முடிச்சிடுறேன். ஆத்தர் என்ன கேள்வி கேட்கணும்? பிலாசபர் என்ன கேட்குறாரு? நான் யார், இந்த உலகத்தில் எதற்காக இருக்கிறேன், என்னுடைய, அதெல்லாம் அவர் கேட்பார். நீங்கள் என்ன கேட்கணும்? நான் ஏன் PhDயில் ஜாயின் பண்ணேன், என்ன நடக்குது இங்கே, ரிசல்ட் எல்லாம் வந்த அப்புறம் நீங்கள் பேப்பர் எழுதுறதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன கேட்கணும்? நான் என்ன புதுசாக கண்டுபிடிச்சி கிழிச்சேன், உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. Why should I write this paper? What is it I want to convey? நீங்கள் அந்த கேள்வியை முதல்ல கேட்கணும். கேளுங்க. ஓகே, what is the answer? நான் புதுசாக எதாவது கண்டுபிடிச்சிருக்கேன், வேல்யூபிள், அது எல்லாருக்கும் சொல்லணும், அதனால தான் பேப்பர் எழுதுறேன். அந்த மெசேஜ் என்னங்கிறது உங்கள் டேட்டாலேருந்து தெரியாது. முதல்ல அதை டிஸ்டில் பண்ணி கண்டுபிடிங்க. யூ டேக் 1 week 10 days. வாட் இஸ் இட் ஐ கேன் டெல் to people working in the area that this is something new and valuable. Correct? So this will take 1 week. That's where you need supervisor also. ரெண்டு பேரும் போட்டு மண்டையை உடைச்சு அதுலேருந்து நீங்கள் கண்டுபிடிச்சி உங்களுக்கு கிளியராக இருக்கணும், மற்றவனுக்கு கிளியராக இருக்கணும். ஓகேயா? சரி பார்த்துங்க. Okay. Okay, yeah. Read it. I'm working in this area. Why should I read the paper? Correct? That's the first question he will ask. Curious to know something new you are saying. So, that expands current knowledge. And that is why I will read the... Sorry. Yeah. Correct? Generally you will get citation. அவன் படிச்சாதாங்க அப்புறம் citation. அவன் படிக்கணும் முதல்ல. அதனால இதை வச்சுக்கோங்க. இந்த ஐடியா கிளியரா இருக்கு. அப்ப நான் எழுதிருச்ச முதல்ல எதை எழுதுவீங்க பேப்பர்ல? உங்களுக்கு உங்க கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் என்ன, அதோட வேல்யூ என்னன்னு தெரிஞ்சிருச்சு. முதல்ல எதை எழுதுவீங்க? எதை எழுதணும் முதல்ல? சரி, பேப்பர் ஸ்கெலிட்டன் தெரியும் இல்லையா? எல்லாமே இருக்கு. அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட், இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன், மெத்தட்ஸ், ரிசல்ட்ஸ், கன்க்ளூஷன், அதெல்லாம் இருக்கு. எது முதல்ல எழுதணும்? ஏன்னா பண்றது இல்லை, அதனால தான் ப்ராப்ளம். எது முதல்ல எது நீங்க கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டீங்க, நிறைய ஒர்க் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க, எல்லா டேட்டா வச்சுக்கோங்க. அதுலேருந்து ஒரு வாரம் திங்க் பண்ணி நான் புதுசா என்ன கண்டுபிடிச்சேன், என்ன மெசேஜ், என்ன வேல்யூங்கிறத கண்டுபிடிச்சிட்டீங்க. அப்ப முதல்ல எது எழுதணும்? எழுதினவங்களாம் சொல்லுங்க, என்ன எழுதணும் முதல்ல? ஓகே, நீங்க சொல்ல மாட்டேங்க. முதல்ல என்ன எழுதணும்னா உங்க டைட்டில் டிசைட் பண்ணுங்க. தினத்தந்தி படிச்சிருக்கீங்களா? தினத்தந்தி படிச்சிருக்கீங்க இல்லையா? அதுல என்ன ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட்? டைட்டில். வாலிபரை காணும் பொண்ணும் காணும், அதான் டைட்டில். நீங்க என்ன நினைப்பீங்க? வாலிபரும் பொண்ணும் சேர்ந்து ஓடி போயிட்டாங்க. உள்ள போய் படிச்சீங்களா? வாலிபர் ரேஷன் கடைக்கு போனாரு, பொண்ணு பால் வாங்க போச்சு. உங்க பேப்பர் அப்படி இருக்க கூடாதுங்க. டைட்டில் என்னன்னா எல்லாரும் வருவான். When I say title and abstract also. Nowadays, even the reviewer, editor reads only the title and abstract first. First impression. That should attract him. It is not writing, it is designing to convey the information in a very effective way. Marketing people do all the time advertisement. இங்கேருந்து கோயம்புத்தூர் போகிறச்ச அட்வர்டைஸ்மெண்ட் பார்க்குறீங்க, அடுத்த தடவை கடைக்கு போகிறச்ச தெரியாமலே இப்போ இதை வாங்கிட்டு வரீங்க. அப்புறம் தான் தெரியும் யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இல்லையா. உங்கள் பேப்பர் அப்படி இருக்காது. பேப்பரும் ஸ்டஃப்பு, டைட்டிலும் முக்கியம். நீங்கள் என்ன பண்ணுறீங்க? எல்லாத்தையும் பண்ணிவிட்டு யூ புட் ஏ ஸ்டடி டைட்டில் என்னவோ, ஸ்டடீஸ் ஆன் நிக்கல் கேட்மியம் பேட்டரிஸ். இப்படி போட்டால் என்ன அர்த்தம்? எது இம்பார்ட்டன்ட்டு எனக்கு தெரியாது, நான் பண்ணது எல்லாத்தையும் கொடுத்துட்டேன், உனக்கு வேணுங்கிறத எடுத்துக்க, வேணாங்கிறத விட்டுரு. இந்த மாதிரி தான் பேப்பர் எழுதினா தூக்கி எறிஞ்சிடுவாங்க. உங்களுக்கு கிளியராக இருக்கணும், அதை டைட்டிலில் சொல்லணும். நம்ம லெட்ஸ் டிஸ்கஸ் அபவுட் டைட்டில் எழுதுறது. டைட்டில் எத்தனை லைனு? ஒரு லைனு. ஒரு லைனில் உங்கள் நியூ கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன், வேல்யூ அடிஷனை எழுதணும். ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். அந்த மெசேஜ் இது பண்ணிங்கன்னா டைட்டில் மாத்திரம் இல்லை, உங்கள் புடவையெல்லாம் வருது இல்லை, நூல் எல்லா இடத்துலையும் வருது இல்லை, அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கணும். கன்க்ளூஷனில் மெசேஜ் வரணும், அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்டில் மெசேஜ் வரணும், இன்ட்ரோவில் மெசேஜ் வரணும், ஃபிகர் அண்ட் டேபிள்ஸில் பார்த்த உடனே இந்த மெசேஜ் தெரியணும். இதாங்க டிசைன். இது பண்ணுறது இல்லை, அதான் ப்ராப்ளம். இஸ் இட் கிளியர்? டைட்டில் எப்படி எழுதுவீங்க? டைட்டில் நான் ஐ வில் கிவ் எக்ஸாம்பிள். நான் வந்து 5G கம்யூனிகேஷனில் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். I am trying to develop a protocol or method to improve the bandwidth. நான் புதுசாக கண்டுபிடிச்சிருக்கேன். It improves the bandwidth by 30%. I know my results are there. இதை எப்படி டைட்டிலில் எழுதுறது? டைட்டில் எழுதுறது ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். நம்ம அது கேரியே எடுக்கிறது இல்லை, எல்லாத்தையும் எழுதிட்டு ஏதோ ஒரு டைட்டிலில் போட்டு அனுப்பிச்சிடுறது, திரும்பி வந்துடும். நான் ஒரு சிம்பிள் கேள்வி கேட்குறேன், 4 கேள்வி. முதல் 2 கேள்வி ஃபர்ஸ்ட், அப்புறம் 2வது கேள்வி பின்னாடி ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க. முதல் கேள்வி, உங்களுக்கு ராமாயணம் தெரியும் இல்லையா? ஸ்டோரி ஆஃப் ராமாயணா 1 லைன் யோசிங்க. story of Mahabharata in one line. One line. அதே அடுத்தது, what is the message of Ramayana in one line? What is the message of Mahabharata one line? ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க.
ராமாயணம் சொல்றேன். ஒரு வில், ஒரு இல், ஒரு சொல் is equal to ராமன்.
Story of Ramayana, madam. நீங்க மெசேஜுக்கு வரீங்க. Story of Ramayana. சொல்லுங்க. தர்மம் அதர்மத்தை வெல்லும், அதெல்லாம் கதை. ராமாயண கதையை கேட்கிறேன். எழுதலாம், நமக்கு ஏன்னா God given gift is there. Thinking, use it heavily. Our normal person uses 3%, genius uses 8%, 10%. Fantastic availability. Start using it. சொல்லுங்க, ட்ரை பண்ணுங்க. எழுத முடியாது. ஒரு பேரால எழுதுவீங்களா? எழுதுவீங்க. ஸோ அதனால உங்க பேப்பர் எழுதிச்சு, உங்க மெசேஜ் என்னங்கிறத ஒரு லைனுக்கு போகாதீங்க, ஒரு பேரால எழுதுங்க. என்ன தோன்றதோ அதெல்லாம் எழுதுங்க. அப்புறம் அதுலேருந்து எடுத்து அந்த ஒன் லைன் கொண்டு வரணும். இப்போ ராமாயண கதை என்ன? ராமர் இருந்தாரு, தசரதனுக்கு 4 பேர், 4 பிரதர்ஸ். அவர் விஸ்வாமித்திரர் வந்தாரு, காட்டுக்கு போனாரு, அங்கே போய் சீதையை அப்புறம் இதெல்லாம் பண்ண, அதெல்லாம் பிளபிளான்னு எழுதின்னு போவீங்க. ஒரு வாரம், ஒரு பாறை எல்லாம் முடிச்சுங்க. ஒரே ஸ்டோரி ஒரே லைன்ல கொண்டு வரணும்னா எப்படி? சுருங்க சொல்லணும், விரித்து சொல்லணும். அது பிலாசபர். அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ஷன், ஜெனரலைசேஷன், போத் ஆர் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். கிருபானந்த வாரியார் கேட்டிருந்தீங்களா? சொல்லுவீங்க, ஒரே வார்த்தையில சொல்லணும். ராமாயண ஸ்டோரி என்ன? வேஸ்ட். ராமாயண ஸ்டோரி ஒரே வேர்ட்ல பெண்ணாசை. மகாபாரதம் மண்ணாசை, அதுவும் சொல்லணும் டக்குன்னு. இப்ப ராமாயண ஸ்டோரின்னா யாரு ஹீரோ? யாரு வில்லன்? யாரு? ராவணன். ஹீரோயின் 3 பேர் வரணுமா இல்லையா? திங்க் பண்ணுங்க. என்ன? Ravanan was destroyed because he abducted Sita by Rama. That's it. Rama destroyed Ravana because he abducted Sita. Correct? So if you say Mahabharata, Duryodhana was destroyed by Arjuna because his greed for land. Mannas. பண்ணலாம். ஓகேயா? திங்க் பண்ணா வரும். அது அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கணும் உங்க டைட்டில். Not easy. First time you write a para, then you distill, and because I said 5G communication bandwidth, right? Improved bandwidth performance in 5G communication by my method or whatever. So அவன் வெளியிலேருந்து படிக்கிறவன் முதல்ல இதில் ஏதோ புதுசாக சொல்கிறான், புதுசாக இருக்கு, he should be curious to come inside and read. இதெல்லாம் பண்றது இல்லை. ஓகே, வாட் இஸ் த மெசேஜ் ஆஃப் ராமாயணா? மெசேஜ் மீன்ஸ் தர்மா வில்ஸ் அதர்மா அதெல்லாம் சொல்லுங்க. எவரிபடி ஷுட் பிராக்டிஸ். அதான். இல்லை, அதை இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் மோர் ஜெனரலாக சொல்லுங்க. ராமன் தேடிய சீதையா? அது மெசேஜுங்க. நீங்க ஸ்டோரியை போய் கன்ஃபியூஸ் பண்றீங்க. திங்க் பண்ணுங்க. மெசேஜ் ராமாயணா உலகத்துக்கு என்ன சொல்லுகிறது, ஒரு மனிதன் எப்படி நடக்கணும்னு சொல்றது. கரெக்டா? ராமாயணா டீச்சர்ஸ் how every human being should behave in this world. Rama is the model. How? As a son, as a brother, as a husband, as a friend. So it preaches you how you should handle, because Rama is a human being. So he has done it actually. Ramayana teaches you how to behave in this world. Mahabharata? யானைக்கு யாரன்னா குதிரைக்கு குர்ரம் மேடம். டக்குன்னு அடிங்க. அதெல்லாம் இல்லைங்க. ராமாயணா டீச் திங்கே. நம்ம ப்ராப்ளம் என்ன தெரியுமா? பேசிடுறோம், அப்புறம் தான் திங்க் பண்றோம். Change the habit. When a question or anything you say, we get into problem because of our speech. Don't answer right away. Think first and then talk later. Correct, madam. கையை கொடுங்க. Thank you. அதான் யானைக்கு ஏறணும், குதிரைக்கு கூறோம். Ramayana teaches how a human being should behave. Mahabharata teaches how one should not behave. Why? Jealousy, anger, greed. Think பண்ணா வருங்க. அப்படி இருக்கணும் உங்க டைட்டில். And you should come in the message, in the conclusion. If I look at the figure and table, it should be clear. It should be there in the abstract. It should be there in the introduction. Writing is difficult. Philosophers are great in writing. Again, why you become like a philosopher is speaking, thinking, writing, everything in sync. Okay. Okay, very important, you have to choose a journal. How do you choose a journal? Some guideline, very easy. You are reading papers from some journal, right? Because that is where they are publishing in your area. So you should go to that journal. That's one. Second, you are giving references in your paper, right? That is the journal. Don't try something else. Okay. Go ahead. Neenga padunga. Poda? Varudhu. See? Okay? நீங்க எல்லாத்துக்கும் எழுதுறது இல்ல. அது சொல்ற மாதிரி you select a journal and write. I run through the slides quickly. உங்க colleagues, senior colleagues in the department என்ன சொல்றாங்க? That's also okay. Finally, it is decided by advisor because you are new. But after some time, you got to know. So better learn earlier itself. Sometimes you talk to other professors, other universities. That can help. So select the journal first. Skeleton of a research paper. Okay, yeah. Title decide pandinga. Very important. When I say title, keywords also important. Because nowadays the searching is through keywords. If your keywords is not proper, nobody will come. Clear? Okay. Title keywords பண்ணிட்டீங்க. இப்போ வித் 5-6 இருக்கு இல்லையா? எது முதல்ல எழுதுவீங்க? ஆன்சர் பண்ணாதீங்க. நான் அதே சொல்லிட்டேன். எது முதல்ல எழுதணும்னா, suppose you go for an exam. If 6 questions are given, which question you answer first? What you know clearly, you write. 4, 3, 1, like that. It's not in the order in which it appears. Correct? So apply that logic here. இதில் எது உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப clear, அதை முதல்ல சொல்லுங்க. எது எழுதணும் முதல்ல? எதுங்க நீங்க பண்ணது? ப்ராப்ளம் டெஃபினிஷன் இல்ல மேடம். எது நீங்க பண்ணது? ரிசல்ட்ஸ். சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கிறீங்களே. அதுதாங்க நீங்க பண்ணது. அதை முதல்ல எழுதுங்க. ஹார்ட். You are familiar. You know what you have done, right? Write that first. And very important, you already know the message, right? You have distilled title. The results should reflect that, the figure. Normally it may not. I give you an example. You would have done the experiment, pressure versus time and temperature versus time. But if the message becomes clear by plotting pressure versus temperature, do a cross plot. Design the figures and tables to convey the original contribution what you have done. It's not writing again and again, I am telling. Designing to convey the information that you have found something new valuable. Okay, yeah? Because you have done it, that's okay. You can write that. Okay, logically, what is the next one you should write? Think பண்ணுங்க madam. Think. Resultsல வந்து நீங்க figure போட்டீங்க, table போட்டீங்க. You already know what is the value addition, all that. Results எழுதின அப்புறம் அடுத்தது என்ன எழுதணும்? Conclusion. Conclusion should be the message. Correct, with numbers. I have developed a method which gives 30% improvement compared to existing methods. Not blah blah. Most of you write summary in the conclusion. எங்க எழுதணுமோ அங்க எழுதுறது இல்ல, எங்க எழுத வேணாமோ அங்க எழுதுறீங்க. Okay, conclusion ஆச்சு. அடுத்தது what is the next one? இருக்கிறத மாத்திரம் சொல்லுங்க, ஃபியூச்சர்லாம் எழுதாதீங்க. உங்க பேப்பர்ல நீங்க என்ன ஃபியூச்சர்ல அப்படி பண்ண போறேன்னா அவன் பண்ணிட்டு போயிடுவான். Never reveal your hand in a paper. You have to write a future work in chapter in thesis. Logically அடுத்தது என்ன எழுதணுங்க? இல்லைங்க, ரெஃபரன்ஸ் எல்லாம் எழுத முடியாதுங்க. கன்க்ளூஷன்ல மெசேஜ் சொன்னேன். சம்மரி எங்க எழுதுறது? அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட் சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கிறீங்களே, எல்லாம் தப்பு. பண்றதெல்லாம் தப்பு, ரிவ்யூவரை ப்ளேம் பண்றேன். நான் பார்க்குறேன். I have been an author, I have been a reviewer, I have been an editor, I know. அவனை சொல்றது அவன் புரிஞ்சிக்கல, அவனை புரிஞ்சிக்கல, நீங்கள் எழுதலை சரியா, உங்களுக்கே தெரியாது உங்கள் கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் என்ன, எப்படி எழுதுவீங்க? ஓகே, abstract is summary very difficult to write because அதை படிச்சுட்டு தான் உள்ளே வருவான். அது சரியா இல்லை. முதல் இம்ப்ரெஷன், நீங்கள் உங்கள் லைஃப் பார்ட்னரை எப்படி செலக்ட் பண்ணுறீங்க? பொண்ணு பார்க்க போகிறது, பொண்ணு எங்கள் வீட்டம்மா கற்றுன்னு என்ன பொண்ணு பார்க்குறது, நான் ஆண் பார்க்க வரேன், மாப்பிள்ளை பார்க்க வரேன், நடக்கிறத சொல்கிறதா? ஸோ அது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இம்ப்ரெஷன். அதுக்கப்புறம் மாட்டிட்டு முடிக்கிறது வேற, அது வேற விஷயம். எல்லாம் பண்ணி எல்லாம் ஆகி ஒரு 4 வருஷம் கழிச்சு ஏன்டா கல்யாணம் பண்ணோன்னு அது மாதிரி இருக்கணுங்க. உங்கள் பேப்பர் அப்படி இருக்கக்கூடாது. படிக்கிறது நல்லா இருந்தால் இதில் ஏதோ புதுசாக இருக்குது, ஏதோ சொல்கிறாரு என்னன்னு உள்ளே போய் பார்ப்போம். என்னதுன்னு பார்த்தீங்களா, அதே தான் உள்ளவும் இருக்கும். ஓகே, அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட் எழுதிடுவீங்க. அடுத்தது என்ன எழுதணும் பாருங்க. அது பாக்கி என்ன இருக்கு, மெத்தட்ஸ் எழுதலாம். மெத்தட்ஸ் அண்ட் ரிசல்ட்ஸ். ஓ சாரி சார், நீங்க சொன்னதை பிடிச்சி நான் ஸ்டூடெண்ட், ஐயோ அப்பாலஜி அவர் வந்து ஏதோ சொன்னாரு, நான் டபுள்னு பார்த்து மன்னிச்சுக்கிட்டேன். இல்லை இது நத்திங் பர்சனல், ஜஸ்ட் டு டிரைவ் த பாயிண்ட். செல்வர் அதுதான் ஓகே. அடுத்து என்ன எழுதுங்க, மெத்தட்ஸ் முன்னாடியே சொன்னாங்க. மெத்தட்ஸ் அண்ட் ரிசல்ட்ஸ் இஸ் ஓகே, பட் ஐ வில் கோ வித் த ரிசல்ட்ஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட். மெத்தட்ஸ் யூ ஹவ் டன் இட், so that's okay. And come to introduction. Why introduction should have 4 sections, very very important. Please note it down. If you are writing paper, please note down. First one is motivation, why you are writing the paper. Second one, what others have done, which is essentially literature review. And at the end of that, you have to indicate what is the weakness in the current methods. Then you say, to overcome that, in this paper I am proposing this method, your method. And finally your contribution. What is the message of the paper? And the last section is how the paper is organized. Section 2 describes the methods, section 3 results. Very religiously, systematically you have to do it. Is it okay? Okay. I don't have time. Sorry. Madam, you tell me the time.
12 o'clock.
Huh? No. இன்னும் எவ்வளோ டைம் இருக்கு? 1 hour இருக்கு. தேங்க்யூ. இதெல்லாம் கொடையணும்னு பார்க்க பதிலே சொல்ல மாட்டேங்கிறேன். பின்னாடி எல்லாம் வீசிட்டு இருக்கீங்களா, தூங்கிட்டு இருக்கீங்களா? இருக்கீங்களா? ஓகே. Okay, now let me summarize. Slides will go very fast. The first one you write, decide on the title and keywords first. It will take 1 week, 10 days. Then start writing what you know well, what you have done, results. Logically conclusion. Then write the summary. Then go to methods and results together you can say. Finally write the introduction. Editing. So this I call as first draft. You and the advisor together you have written. Yeah. அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன பண்ணுவீங்கன்னு கேட்டால் அட்வைசர்ட்டு கொடுப்பேன்ட்டீங்க, அது சொல்லாதீங்க, அதுக்காக தான் சொல்கிறேன். ஓகே, யூ ஹேவ் டன் த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டிராஃப்ட். யா
So when you are calling for the paper, ஒரு paper publication கேக்குறாங்கன்னா, why they are asking them first for abstract? Abstract அப்படிங்க வந்து லாஸ்டா தான் ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணணும்ன்றீங்க.
லாஸ்ட்ல ஃப்ரேம் பண்ணனும் சொல்ல, நான் கால் ஃபாருக்கு இல்ல ஜர்னல் பேப்பருக்கு சொல்றேன்.
ஜர்னல் பேப்பர் கேன்சர் சொல்றேன். இப்போ பிஃபோர் தட் நம்மளோட பேப்பர் பப்ளிகேஷன் கொடுக்கறோம்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து abstract கொடுத்து
அப்படிலாம் ஒன்றும் கேட்க மாட்டாங்களே.
அப்பதான் பிரசிடென்ட் கேக்குறாங்க.
கேட்குறாங்க. அதாவது இங்க பின்னாடி போட்டு கழுத்து இறக்க போறீங்களாங்கிறது முன்னாடியே கண்டுபிடிக்கணும்ங்கிறதுக்கா. உங்க அது அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட் சரியா இல்லைன்னா ரிஜெக்ட் பண்றோம். அதனால தான் இல்லை, நாங்கள் பண்ணுறதெல்லாம் பேப்பரை தான் அனுப்புகிறோம் மேடம். நோபடி கால்ஸ் அப்ஸ்ட்ராக்ட். ஒன்லி இன் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ் தே கால். Conference they call. I will tell you, maybe that's why they want to know whether to publish or not, to consider that, to save you time. You take that way. Yeah, they will ask whether you are, see, very important. I didn't talk about that. If your work is tier 2, second class, don't submit to first class journal. It will not go through review at all. Editor will reject it. So that time can be avoided if you give the abstract. They are trying to help you, that's all. Okay, what did I say? Okay, you have done the first draft. Yeah, you have written. இதுக்கு அடுத்தது என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? Step by step approach. That's what I want to discuss. If that is clear, then we can go through slides. Okay? அடுத்து என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? என்ன பண்றீங்க நீங்க பேப்பர் எழுதிச்சு now? அனுப்பிச்சிருவீங்களா ஜேர்னலுக்கு? If you say I will send you to journal, hopeless. Okay. என்ன பண்ணணும்? என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டிராஃப்ட் முடிச்சிட்டீங்க. அடுத்தது என்ன பண்ணணும்? யார் பண்ணணும்? நீங்க படிக்கணும். நீங்க எழுதினதையே படிக்கணும். படிக்க மாட்டீங்க. அது எவன் பாடு என்னமோ அவன் தலையில மாட்டிட்டு முழுகிட்டும். நிறைய பேர் பண்றீங்க. இந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸுக்கெல்லாம் நீங்க ப்ராஜெக்ட் ரிப்போர்ட்லாம் எழுதினீங்களா, ரிப்போர்ட் எழுதினதுக்கு அப்புறம் படிங்க. உங்களுக்கே தெரியும் எவ்வளவு மோசமா எழுதிருக்கீங்கன்னு. Okay? You have to read yourself and fix all the errors. Correct? That's the right procedure. I have only two suggestions here. Give you a 2-day break. Paper editingல first draft அதை தூக்கி வச்சிருங்க. அதை கிட்டே போகாதீங்க, வேற ஏதாவது பண்ணுங்க. 2 நாளைக்கு பண்ணுங்க. கரெக்டா? அப்புறம் 2வது நாள் முடிஞ்ச அப்புறம் அந்த பேப்பரை you take the paper, assume it is written by somebody else and given to you for correction. Correct? And then correct. Okay, now you tell me why 2 days gap? Not refresh. Your thought process should be interrupted for paper writing. That's okay, refreshing. So forget about the paper, do something else, come back, you will not make the same mistake. Okay, yeah, that's one. Second, assume that it is written by somebody else. Why?
We can find the mistake.
We are good at finding fault of others. அவன் பண்ணியிருக்கான், இது தப்பு அது தப்பு அது தப்புன்னு சொல்லுங்கல்ல. நான் பண்ணேன்னா எல்லாம் ஓகே. நீங்க அசியூம் பண்ணுங்க. அவன் பார்க்க உங்க கொலீக் கொடுத்துருக்காரு, கரெக்ட் பண்ணேன்னா இது சரியா இல்லை அது சரியா இல்லைன்னு. நான் தான் பண்ணியிருக்கேன்னா தெரியவே தெரியாது கண்ணுக்கு. ஓகேயா? இது பண்ணணும். பண்ணீங்களா தெரியும். அது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ரவுண்ட். ஓகே, இது முடிச்சிட்டீங்க. அப்புறம் ஜேர்னல் அனுப்பிச்சிடுவீங்களா? என்ன பண்ணும்? சூப்பர்வைசர் தான் முதல்லயே சேர்த்துக்கோங்கன்னு சொன்னேன். நடுவில் கொண்டுறாதீங்க. என்ன பண்ணணும்? என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? யாரும் என்ன பண்றீங்க? நீங்க சொல்லுங்க, என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? நீங்க என்ன சொல்றீங்கன்னு எனக்கு புரியலங்கிறாங்க. பேப்பர் எழுதினாதான் அடிபட்டாதான் தெரியும். அடிபட்டா புத்தி வரும்பாங்க. அடிப்படப்பட பிலாசபர் ஆயிடுவீங்க. என்ன பண்ணணும் அடுத்தது? என்ன பண்றீங்க? நீங்க எல்லாம் பண்றது இல்லை, அதனாலதான் நீங்க சொல்றீங்க. ஓகே, நான் என்ன சொல்றேன் அடுத்தது என்ன பண்ணணும்னா, பிஃபோர் ஓகே there are 3 or 4 steps very important. உங்க பேப்பர் போறதுக்கு முன்னாடி, ஜேர்னல் போறதுக்கு முன்னாடி you have to check spelling, you have to check grammar, you have to check style, everything you have to check. Tools are available for that. That is in the last step. அது ஒரு ஸ்டெப் இருக்கு, அது பண்ணாம அனுப்பாதீங்க. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி there are 2 or 3 steps. என்ன பண்ணணும்? ஓகே, நீங்க உங்க கரெக்ஷன்ல எல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டீங்க. என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க அடுத்தது? உங்க டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல இருக்கிற டெக்னிக்கல் கொலீக்ஸ் கொடுத்து செக் பண்ண சொல்லணும். Why? Because your mathematics somebody should check. Equations are correct. If you are doing mathematics theorem proof, whether it is correct or not, you have to give in the department who is, I call it trustworthy friend. Why trustworthy friend in the department? Why I call it trustworthy? ரிவீல் இல்ல, நீங்க அவன்கிட்ட கொடுக்குறீங்க, அவன் பப்ளிஷ் பண்ணிட்டு போயிடுவான். என்னங்க நடக்குது? ஃப்ரெண்டுன்னா பண்ண மாட்டான்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க. யார் ஃப்ரெண்டு யார் ஃப்ரெண்டு இல்லைன்னு கண்டுச்சு கொடுத்து பாருங்க. Trustworthy friend in the department to check all the mathematics and all that thing. Yeah, you do that. So you know that. But before that, you have to do one more step. You have done the first draft, correction and all, right? What you should do? I am going to give my practice, very wild suggestion. How many of you are married? Most of you. பின்னாடி இதெல்லாம் மேரேஜ் இல்லை, எல்லாம் இது வராங்க. That's okay. அவங்களுக்கு தனி ஆன்சர் இருக்கு. Let's assume you are married. What I suggest is, all the ladies should give it to their husbands. Okay? All the husbands should give it to their wives. Why? Huh? Why?
Point out the mistakes.
Yeah, என்ன mistake? நீங்க பண்றதெல்லாம் தப்புன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. பேப்பர்ல 100 மிஸ்டேக்ஸ் கண்டுபிடிச்சிருவாங்க. Okay, good point. But that is not the main reason. இல்லையா நீ எது பண்ணாலும் சரியா இல்லைன்னு எங்கள் அம்மா அப்படி தான் சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க இது பண்ணுறதே வேஸ்ட்டு அப்படிங்க ஸோ no, that is one point, but that's not the main reason. What is the other reason? Does she know what you are doing in office and all? No. Correct? So then I am saying, give it to a person not in that area. What they can say? Give it to a third person not in that area. If they can spot your contribution, நீங்க புதுசா ஏதோ கண்டுபிடிச்சு வேல்யூ சொன்னீங்களே அது தெரிஞ்சதுன்னா உங்களுக்கு புரிஞ்சதுன்னா you are done an excellent job. Not the details and all. Technical term தெரியாது அதனால தான் technical friend கிட்ட கொடுக்கணும். You said you have found a new valuable contribution. If it is known to a person not in that area, you have done an excellent job. யாருங்க படிப்பாங்க உங்க பேப்பரை? நிறைய பேர் சொல்றாங்க எங்கள் அப்பாட்ட கொடுப்பேன் சிஸ்டர்கிட்ட கொடுப்பேன் யார் படிப்பா ஒருத்தரும் படிக்க மாட்டாங்க நீங்களே படிக்க முடியாது 4வது நாள் ஒய்ஃப்னா என்ன கொடுத்துட்டு படிச்சிட்டியான்னு சொன்னா இந்த ஆள் கைத்தா இருக்கிறாரு அதனால படிச்சு ஒரு லெவலில் கொடுத்து அனுப்பிச்சுலான்னு சொல்லிட்டு பண்ணுவாங்க அது ஒரு பாயிண்ட் ஸ்கெடியூல் வைஸ் இட் வில் பி ஃபாஸ்டர் தென் தெர் இஸ் அ செகண்ட் பெனிஃபிட் என்ன பெனிஃபிட்னா அவங்க நார்மலி இது எல்லாரும் மன்னிச்சுக்கணும் இது சொல்றது normally they think you are a useless fellow within her mind. I am managing the house, I am managing the kids, I am managing all things, I am not appreciated. I don't know what this fellow does. He goes to office and brings 100,000 rupees salary and all. I don't know why they give. This all are impression. But after reading the paper, she also knows that this fellow can do something. So her appreciation of you goes up. So next time when you go home, you ask for tea, she gives with alva. Forget about the joke. The real point is give it to a person not in that area, whether they can understand the contribution. That means your writing is clear. The next, can you send it? No. Check whether all the equations and notations, everything is used is correct. Give it to your technical colleague. Then can you send it? No. Check all the spelling, grammar, all that thing. So the first time you write, till the time you do this, the paper will undergo 30-40 revisions. Develop that habit. Revise, revise, revise. Don't send. And if you submit at that time, I guarantee it will be accepted with minor revision. Why minor revision? Nothing will be accepted as it is. I want to tell you another point also. All ladies should pardon me. A reviewer is like a mother-in-law. Author is like a daughter-in-law. Now you understand. Anything you do is wrong. But mother-in-law will tell others, my daughter-in-law is great, not you. Why? They want to improve your work. I asked this question. Why mother-in-law tortures a daughter-in-law all the time? One fellow got up and said, sir, mother-in-law was a daughter-in-law earlier. At that time, her mother-in-law tortured her. So when I become a torturer, I will go. Correct logic. Correct? If you understand that psychology, same thing applies to other reviewer. Why? I'll tell you why reviewer is finding all the problem. Reviewer job is to find fault only, not to say good things. You will say good things later. But இது சரியா இல்லை அது சரியா இல்லை நீங்கள் எது பண்ணாலும் இதை இங்கே போட்டிருக்க கூடாது அங்கே போட்டிருக்கணும் அங்கே இங்கே பட் ஒர்க் இஸ் குட் ஸோ he cannot deny it, he will accept. That is the thing with minor correction. If it is minor, you can fix it. Why mother-in-law says daughter-in-law is a problem? She thinks her affection for the son is shared. It's not correct. That impression she has. So reviewer also thinks if the author produces a great work, his standing will go. He will not be appreciated later, right? So he will say this wrong, that's wrong. But whatever says wrong, if the work is good, nothing can stop. Examiner also like that. PhD examiner also assume that his job is to find faults. You will not be sad. That's all I'm saying. Okay? If you do this, I guarantee that you will pay. But even before sending this, after doing all this, I thought about that and put one more point. Why do you wait till the reviewer, it goes to reviewer and reviewer has to say? You can take the role of reviewer. அவன் என்ன பெருசாக கேட்க போகிறான், அதை நீங்களே கேட்டுருங்களேன். கேட்டு நீங்கள் செக் பண்ணுங்கள், உங்கள் பேப்பரில் எல்லாம் சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை ஆகுதா. அதுதான் பாயிண்ட். You will save lot of time and agony later and do it. Is that clear? That's all the thing. I will go through the slides very quick. Any question? நான் சொல்கிறதெல்லாம் புரியுதுடா? என்ன புரியுது? நாங்களாம் கல்யாணமே ஆகல, நான் யார்கிட்ட கொடுக்குறதுன்னு கேட்குறாங்க. நீங்கள் யாராவது உங்கள் அண்ணன்கிட்ட கொடுங்க, இல்லை அப்பாட்ட கொடுங்க, அவ்வளோ படிக்க சொல்லுங்க. ஓகே, லெட்ஸ் கோ ஹியர். முதல்ல ஆன்மெண்ட்டை பண்ணுங்க, மறுபடியும் ஆரம்பிச்சுக்கிறேன். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஒன் இஸ் டைட்டில் இன் கீவேர்ட்ஸ். இட் டேக் 1 week 10 days. Results. You are very familiar. You have to do that first. And you know the message also. Results should reflect that very straight. Conclusions. Abstract. Yeah. And finally introduction. 4 or 5 sections. Writing is difficult. The better way is more you write, better you become. So start writing earlier. Okay. Title. These are all explanation. I'll give a copy of the slide to madam. You can substitute. You can take it. Because abstract is that summary, right? So at least you should indicate that results. Then the next one, conclusion. Abstract. Editors and referees are very busy. The impression, first impression is very important. If they read the abstract and it's not clear about the contribution value, they say this is useless. Their intention is to reject. And nowadays the abstract is all in the database. So if somebody reads the title and abstract only, they will come. Okay. Method. That you have done it, so you can write intro. What is the motive? I mean, how do you write motivation? Why you did this problem? What is the answer? நீங்கள் ஏன் இந்த ப்ராப்ளத்தை எடுத்து அதில் நீங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ணீங்க? வாட் இஸ் த ரியல் ஆன்சர்? பட் அதை எழுத முடியாது, ரியல் ஆன்சரை எழுத முடியாது. வாட் இஸ் த ரியல் ஆன்சர்? அட்வைசர் சொன்னார், நான் பண்ணேன், அதை எழுத முடியுமா? இது ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். அப்புறம் அந்த உலகத்தில் இது பண்ணலைன்னா அந்த உலகமே இடிஞ்சு விழுந்துடும். நான் தான் ஹெர்குலிஸு வந்து தூக்குறேன். ஏதாவது எழுதணும் 4 லைனு. நான் இல்லைன்னா 5G communication very important. Lot of people are using, the bandwidth is increasing. So I had, that is why I am working. எல்லாம் தெரியுங்க, உங்கள் அட்வைசர் சொன்னார், நீங்கள் பண்ணீங்க. அதை எழுத முடியாது. அதுதான் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். ஓகே. எஸ். Difficult, time consuming, do it. When you write, very important, this is where plagiarism comes in. You cannot take sentences and material from other paper and put. You will get into problem. So for a researcher, I want to tell you this. If you read a paper, understand it, throw the paper. Write your impression about the paper in your own words. What is the method about? What is its strength? What is its weakness? Everything you write pani. This I call as technical logbook. You keep it with this and use this to write your paper. No computer can find a match for this. Why? Because your writing is so lousy. Plagiarism mein varadu. Okay, yeah? Develop that habit. Otherwise, take the material from internet, take the material from that paper, all that. You can take material, but they will also be caught. Tools are there. Okay? I don't know whether you do it or not. In my university, especially first year, second year, coding. So one fellow does the code, all the other fellows copy, right? If your thing is, we have a tool for that. If it is copied, 0, straight, no argument. We know which is source, which is copy. ஏய் உங்களுக்கு தான் காப்பி அடிக்காதீங்க. தப்பாக பண்ணாலும் பரவாயில்ல, நீங்கள் ஒரிஜினலாக பண்ணுங்க. ஆதர்ஷிப். ஆர்கிட் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட், ரைட்? யூ நோ ஆர்கிட் ஐடி. ஆதார் ஃபார் ரிசர்ச்சர். Okay, these are all okay. I will go through. Reference is very important. Yeah, that's why the style. But all research scholars should learn LaTeX. I want to tell you that. You know what is LaTeX? Yeah. Okay. தெரியல இல்லையா சாஃப்ட்வேர் தான் அதை நீங்கள் ட்ரெயின் டீச் பண்ணுங்கள் ஈவன் அண்டர் கிராஜுவேட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் கேன் டூ இட் ஃபார் ப்ராஜெக்ட் ரிப்போர்ட் வெரி நைஸ் ஓகே ரிலவெண்ட் எத்தனை பேப்பரை சைட் பண்ணணும் வாட் எவர் இஸ் நெசசரி டு எக்ஸ்பிளைன் யுவர் ஒர்க் ஒன்லி தட் இஃப் யூ புட் சப்போஸ் யூ ஆர் ரிவியூங் ஏரியா you give 30 papers to review that area, it shows your ignorance. You should give one summary survey paper. Giving a lot of papers, reviewer will think this fellow does not know which is important, not important for his work. So the answer is, whatever is necessary to put your work in the context, give only that much. Okay, yeah, these are all okay. Figures, very simple. Simple line diagram is okay. And very important, when you put a figure in your paper, very systematically you have to do what the figure is about, what is the x-axis, what is the y-axis, what are the curves, how the curves are behaving, and finally what is the message of the figure. If you don't have a message, don't put the figure. When I say figure and table, both. What does a paper consist of? English and maths. Why the paper is difficult to understand? Maths. You can't read maths, you have to do it. And if the maths used in the paper is not known, you have to learn that and then come. It takes time. Okay, these are slides which can go through quickly. Yeah, I will not go through all this. Yeah. So the more you write, only you become better. Do it early. 4 steps, we discussed that, right? So message is revise, revise, revise. This mainly more for thesis. Don't write the thesis, get the outline. So essentially when you start writing a thesis, the first thing you write is the contents. How the chapters are organized. Chapter, section, subsection, subsection. You decide that and discuss with the advisor, go through a lot of iterations and then finalize and then write chapter by chapter. Okay, this is all very clear. This is what I said, making an outline. Composing, now you have to write. Notation. Okay, these are all okay. Very important, That's why LaTeX makes it very convenient. Formulas and figures. Yeah. I quickly finish. Revise, we discussed. Read the draft after some time. Read the draft as is written by others, get someone else to read for you. 3 steps you have to do. And then you proofread and plan on rewriting 3 or 4 times is for thesis, very big one. But paper 30-40 times. Develop that habit, don't send. So you should feel the confidence that the reviewer cannot put his hand here and say this wrong. Till that time, don't send. Clear? Yes. Mansalaya? Oh, sorry. புரிஞ்சிச்சா புரிஞ்சிச்சா தமிழ்ல புரிஞ்சிச்சு தெலுங்கு people are there? Yeah, தெலுங்கு people கை தூக்குங்க மதர் டங் தெலுங்கு அர்த்தமா இந்த இல்ல because I go to lecture, right? When I say Mansalaya in Tamil Nadu, they look blank. So habit. Okay. So these are all the things. Bad thinking never produces good writing. Good thinking promotes good writing. It's a catch-22 cycle. Egg came first, chicken came first. Nothing, right? Okay, change the role. This is what I said, right? Now you are ready, don't say. This is very, after deep thought, this has been done. Up to the time you have been a daughter-in-law, you take the role of mother-in-law. You ask all the questions on your paper. It will save you a lot of time, 6 months, 1 year and all. So now you are ready to submit. Okay, what is the question he will ask? We discussed that, right? What is the first question? Is it new? But don't answer. When you read, it should be clear. Is it new? What is the next question? What is the value? Okay, that standard. That's first. இது பண்ண அப்புறம் அடுத்த கொஸ்டின்ல தான் we get into problem. என்ன கொஸ்டின் அது? Is it major, minor or zero? நீங்க மேஜர் நினைச்சுப்பீங்க, அவன் ஒன்றும் இல்லைம்மா. Very subjective. ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாது. Then you have to take the comments and modify. Okay, this you cannot control. You have to wait. Is the results correct? They will check. Is the results adequate? Adequate means you write as if it is doing great things, but your figure and table doesn't show. You can fix it. அதனால நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா, very important. When you write a paper, don't use adjective and superlative. Very good, top, என்று சொல்லாதீங்க. Even if your method does very well. My method gives 100, the other method gives 50. Give the facts. People will understand. Is the writing clear? அதுக்குதான் wife-ல கொடுக்க சொல்லு. Third person can understand. A person working in that area can easily follow. Figure and tables, does it show? See, that's why the message should be reflected in the figure. The way you have done the experiments may not be that way. So you have to design the figures and tables to convey the message. This is very important. In research, you can use anybody's work if you properly cite. If you don't cite, the intention is that you have done the work and the reviewer knows he is in the area. If he spots this, you are banned. Plagiarism. This is where most of us get into problem. Literature survey. You have left out an important paper, or it is not complete. Some aspects are not covered, inadequate. Most of us get into problem. This you can fix it. Whether you are, because you may have done the literature survey and your paper given references 1 or 2 years back. There may be a current paper also. You have to check that and add that. And finally, language, style, grammar, spelling, everything is correct. Tools are there. Is that okay? If you do this, I guarantee paper will get minor revision. Okay. Now let me finish with the IT tools. Last part. How much time? 10 minutes? 10 feet? Half an hour? Yeah. And then we can have discussion. Tools. I'll give you all this. For writing English, there is a tool. For technical writing. And the bottom one is software. You can download. Public domain. இதெல்லாம் கேட்குறீங்க மேடம், ஃபோன் எடுங்க, டக்குன்னு ஒரு ஃபோட்டோ எடுங்க. எங்கள் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் எல்லாம் என்னம்மா பண்ணுறாங்க, நீங்கள் என்ன இந்த கற்காலத்துக்கு எல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க. டெக்னாலஜிலாம் மாறி போயிடுச்சு. இதான் அங்கே பின்னாடி உட்காந்துங்க, ஏதாவது இம்பார்ட்டன்ட்னா டக் 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 ஃபினிஷ்டு. இல்லை இல்லை, எழுதுறது முக்கியம். அவங்க ரைட்டிங், குட் ரைட்டிங் மேக்ஸ் பெட்டர் திங். திஸ் இஸ் plagiarism. Your college itself will have some. And the last one is a software. See, these are all cloud based. நிறைய பேர் கேட்குறாங்க, என் பேப்பர் எப்படி க்ளவுடில் போடுறது. போடாதீங்க, செக்ஷன் பை செக்ஷன் போடுங்க. ஓகே, அதாவது வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். மை சஜஷன் ஃபார் திஸ் இஸ், when you write a section, you check it out. Okay. Tools for researchers. This one, online tools for researchers. Go to that site. Plenty, 700 tools are there for literature survey, for paper writing, for selecting journals, for lab management, data management, plenty. I'm not saying do a research on all that, no. Find out which is convenient for you in your work and use it. Then there is one academic research toolbox. Again, do your Google, you can go here. What does it have? Here. Okay, somebody has taken the efforts. These are the tools. I'll send the summary also. You can see which one you can use, and I'll give an example here. With me, it generates a bibliography for different styles. Number based, author based, year based, all that kind of thing, no? Depending on the journal. One sample. Evernote is a notebook. You can get whatever you write in your computer, you can keep notes, reading a paper, understanding, and then using it to write, very easy. I am just giving a sample, random sample of it. This is the final slide. Okay, this is if you're bored, you look at phdcomics.com. What does it say? This is what you think it is final. Give it to advisor, right? So final revision 2. அவர்கிட்ட போறது மறுபடியும் கரெக்ட் பண்றாரு. Revision 8, comments 5, corrections. விடுறது இல்லை இன்னும் இங்கே பாருங்க. Revision 18, comments 7, correction 9, more 30. அப்போ வந்து அடிச்சு கம்ப்யூட்டரில் அடிச்சுக்கிங்க, நான் ஏன் பிஎஸ்டி ஜாயின் பண்ணேன், இவர்கிட்ட ஏன் வந்து மாட்டிக்கிட்டேன், அந்த மாதிரி லெவலுக்கு வந்தீங்கன்னா யூ ஆர் ரெடி டு சப்மிட். நடக்குதா? நடக்குது. எங்கள் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் அப்படிதான் டார்ச்சர் பண்ணி விட்டுருவோம். டார்ச்சர்னு சொல்லக்கூடாது, இம்ப்ரூவ் பண்ணிட்டு விட்டுருவோம். பட் அவனுக்கு டார்ச்சர் தான் அது. அதாவது that's what I said, the first revision, first draft to final submission, 30-40 rounds, easily 1 or 2 months. Paper doesn't go. Avoid the tendency as soon as you write to submit to the journal. Very important. Is it okay? That's it. I think that's a lot. Okay. This is the last point. Now maths alla irukkinga illaya. For paper is both English and maths. A good paper has maths, simulation and experiment, and then comparison. If you write a lot of experimental work, the reviewer will say, what is a math model for that? So very important. So idhukku eppadi ezhudunna, suppose you want to write 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Correct? இது உங்க பேப்பர்ல எழுதினா ஒருத்தனும் கண்டுக்க மாட்டான். அதை எப்படி எழுதணும்? ln e plus limit x tending to 0 1 over x ln 1 plus x equal to ரொம்ப பெரிய மேத்ஸ் அப்படிமா. அது 1 plus 1 2. அதுவும் ரொம்ப சிம்பிளா இருக்கு. இன்னும் காம்ப்ளிகேட் பண்ணணும்னா என்ன பண்ணணும்? இங்க பாருங்க, இந்த -2 இந்த பக்கம் போட்டு அதை ஹோல் ஸ்கொயர் பண்ணிடுங்க. இது ஒரு ஆப்டிமைசேஷன் பண்ணுங்க. ஆர்குமெண்ட் மீன் 1 over 2n summation 1 to 1. So from equation 2 it can be proved that j goes to 0, therefore 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. எதையும் சிம்பிளா எழுதிடாதீங்க. மேத்ஸை வச்சு ரொம்ப காம்ப்ளிகேட்டடாக இருக்கிற மாதிரி எழுதுங்க. அவன் கண்டுபிடிச்சினா பண்ணிக்கிட்டோம். இல்லைன்னா இஃப் யூ வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட், இஃப் யூ யூஸ் எ மேத்ஸ், வெரி காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் மேத்ஸ், வாட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ்? எவ்ரிபடி திங்ஸ் இஸ் எ கிரேட் பேப்பர். யூ நோ வை? Reviewer cannot understand the maths. பெருசா இருக்கு அந்த மாதிரி போட்டு கூகுளி போடுறதுன்னு சொல்றாங்க இல்லையா? கிரிக்கெட்ல ஆஃப் ஸ்பின் போட்டுட்டே இருக்கான், திடீர்னு ஒரு லெக் ஸ்பின் போட்டா என்ன இருக்கு? அவுட். அந்த மாதிரி தான் இருக்கு. Somebody has put that here, but the idea is good. So don't write 5 pages, 10 pages, blah 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 blah, and 3 equations will do. I think, yeah. மண்டே உடைக்கணும். எப்படி சிம்பிளா சொல்லாம அதையே எப்படி சொல்றதுங்கிறது வந்து இட்ஸ் நாட் ஈஸி, பட் ஸ்லோலி யூ ஹேவ் டு பிராக்டிஸ். நாட் டூ மச். Need to, not to. Can you put that? See, mathematics is queen of sciences. Whatever you can say, abstract. If you want to write explaining that, it will take 2 pages. And the problem in the maths is, if the paper uses some maths which you don't understand, you have to go and learn the maths separate lot of time. அதனால தான் இங்கேருந்து கோயம்புத்தூர் பஸ்ஸில் அடிச்ச குமுதம் படிக்கிறீங்கன்னா படித்து தூக்கி எறிஞ்சிடுவீங்க. கரெக்டாக ஒரு பேப்பர் எடுத்துன்னு போங்க. கோபி செட்டிப்பாளையத்துலேருந்து கோயம்புத்தூர் போகிறதுக்குள்ளே இந்த பேப்பரை முடிச்சு ரீட் பண்ணிடுவீங்க. அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணணும் முடியாது. ஐ திங்க் திஸ் இஸ் லாஸ்ட் லைன். என்னாச்சு? ஸ்டக் ஆகிடுச்சு. ஒரு தட்டி விடுங்க. ஆயிட்டா? தேங்க்யூ ஃபார் ரீடிங். இது யாரோ போட்டிருந்தாங்க லிங்க் அடிக்கல. இட்ஸ் நாட் மைண்ட். யாருன்னு தெரியாது, அனானிமஸ்னு போடணும். என்னங்க எங்கேயோ போயிட்டீங்க? ஆர் யூ ஷூர்? இல்லை லாஸ்ட் லைஃப் தானா? ஓகே ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ. எனி கொஸ்டின்ஸ்? வி ஹேவ் 10 minutes. எவ்வளோ மேடம்? டீ வந்துச்சா? அது வராமல் இங்கே திறந்து விட்டோன்னா ப்ராப்ளம். எனி கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேளுங்க. டோன்ட் வரி வெதர் ரிலவெண்ட் ஆர் நாட். எனிதிங் யூ கம் டு மைண்ட் ப்ளீஸ் ஆஸ்க். நீங்கள் கேள்வி கேட்கலன்னா நீங்கள் ரிசர்ச்சுக்கு ரெடி இல்லைன்னு அர்த்தம். ரிசர்ச்னா எல்லாம் கேள்வி கேட்கணும். Why am I sitting in this chair? Why can't I sit in the chair? நீங்க என்ன கேள்வி கேட்பீங்கன்னு தெரியும். என்ன தெரியுமா? என்ன கேள்வி? எப்ப விடுவீங்க சார்? போட்டு அறுத்து விட்டீங்க. இல்ல சரி, உங்களுக்கு சொன்ன பேப்பர், பட் the principles are same. When you write a report, after writing the report you read and see if it is okay and if it conveys what you want to say. Normally it doesn't happen because we are very familiar, we know it, but when you write it doesn't come. Okay, any question, any comment? இல்ல அது அவங்க இண்டிவிஜுவல். இது நான் வந்து over a period of time we learn and that is how we practice with the students. நீங்க எப்படி வேணா பண்ணலாம். இன்ட்ரோடக்ஷன் முதல்ல எழுதினீங்கன்னா டைமை வேஸ்ட் பண்ணுவீங்க. உங்க கான்ட்ரிபியூஷன் என்னன்னு கிளியரா இல்லாம பேப்பர் எழுதினீங்கன்னா ரிஜெக்ட் ஆகிடும். அதுக்கு வந்து 10-15 நாள் ஆகும். நீங்க அதை முதல்ல டிசைட் பண்ணுங்க. What is the title you want to put? Decide that first. நான் வச்சுட்டு எல்லாத்தையும் எழுதுங்க, எப்படி வேணா எழுதுங்க. கூப்பிட்டு கேட்டேன், என்னையா இது, I am an author, I am not able to understand. அப்போ ரீடர் எப்படி அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணுவான்? ஓகே, எனி அதர் கொஸ்டின்? உங்களுக்கு பின்னாடியிலேருந்து ஏதாவது கேள்வி இருக்கா? ஏதாவது கேளுங்க. என்னங்க இது போட்டு குத்திக்கிட்டே இருக்கேன், இடிச்ச புளி மாதிரி உட்காந்துருக்கீங்க. இடிச்ச புளி தெரியுமா? என்ன அப்படி அமைக்கி வச்சா அப்படியே இருக்கும். இப்படி குத்தினா நகாது, இப்படி போட்டா ஒன்றுத்துக்கு நகாது. உனக்கும் பெப்பே, உங்க அப்பனுக்கும் பெப்பே. ஓகே, இங்க ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ்ல ஏதாவது கேள்வி கேளுங்க மேடம், எது வரணும். இல்ல வேண்டாம் மேடம், நீங்க உங்க ஹேண்டை ஏன் ரிவீல் பண்றீங்க? Because a lot of people working in that area are smart people, and if your area is very hard, you just give a inch, they will grab a mile. So further work can be done. Generally இதெல்லாம் நீங்க ரிவீலே பண்ணாதீங்க. பேப்பர்ல தீசிஸ்ல பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். You have to write a chapter because thesis எப்படின்னா அடுத்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட் நியூ பிகினிங் comes from some other beginnings end. So அந்த அட்வைசர் வந்து இதான் எங்கள் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் இப்போ முடிச்சுட்டு போகிறாங்க, இதில் ஃபியூச்சர் ஒர்க் இருக்குது, நீங்கள் பாருங்கள் அதில் ஏதாவது பண்ண முடியுமா, ஆரம்பிங்க. பேப்பரில் மை சஜஷன் அது பெரிய 1.5 மணி நேரம் ஆகும். என்ன பண்ண அவர் இஸ் எ வெரி ஹார்ட் ஒர்க்கர், அவ்வளோதான். அவர் நாங்கள் ஜாயின் பண்ணுறச்ச ஒருத்தருக்கும் தெரியாது அவரை பற்றி. பட் நாங்கள் வந்து அவர்கிட்ட கற்றுண்டது என்னென்னா, ஹார்ட் ஒர்க் அண்ட் சின்சியர் ஒர்க் நெவர் ஃபெயில்ஸ். ரிவார்ட்ஸ் மே நாட் கம் இமீடியட்லி, பட் எவென்ச்சுவலி ரிவார்ட்ஸ் வில் கம். நிறைய இது அது தனியாக லெக்சரே இருக்குது மேடம், 100 தடவை நீங்கள் அரேஞ்ச் பண்ணுங்க பசங்களுக்கு இன்ஸ்பிரேஷன். அதில் the paper gets rejected, don't get dejected. Yeah, again Kalam. Enna? No means what? Kalam quote enna? No ngirudhu. Next opportunity. Because he wanted to be a fighter pilot, right? He was rejected because of medical. So he went to Rishikesh, Shivananda Ashrama. So he met Swamiji. Swamiji said, don't worry about all these things, you are going to do more things. Our pathra rapave. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் வந்து he came. So no means next opportunity. அதே மாதிரி ரிசர்ச்சில் you are working on a problem, the problem should haunt you till you. அதான் ஆர்கிமிடிஸ் ஓடனா till the problem, you find the solution, you can't sleep. Kalam's quote again. Dream is not the one which you get in sleep. Dream is the one which makes you not to sleep. ப்ராப்ளம்னா அந்த ப்ராப்ளத்தை சால்வ் பண்ணுற வரை தூங்க முடியாது, சாப்பிட முடியாது, பற்றிக்கிட்டு எரியும், என்னவோ பண்ணுறது எல்லாம் நடக்கும். இது ஒன்றுமே நடக்கலைன்னா என்ன, நீங்கள் ரிசர்ச்சே பண்ணலைன்னு அர்த்தம். Supervised. Illa madam, okay, one of the things I see, student gives a draft, right, to supervisor. He doesn't even look at it. No, you should take immediately, tell thing, and constant interaction is important. அதை நிறைய பேர் பண்ணுறாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி ஐஏசி எல்லாம் கூட கேட்டுருக்கேன். அவர்கிட்ட கொடுத்தாரு, இந்த மாதிரிலாம் பண்ணாங்க. சின்சியராக இருங்க அவ்வளோ. That's my advice. But you approach in the right way, hard work and sincere way. No cheating, no shortcuts. You can do wonderfully. It will come out. People will appreciate. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing your opportunities. Thank you.
I will give the PDF to madam. Madam.
A sincere thank you can be the most powerful expression of gratitude. I request Mrs. J. Divya Bharati, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, to deliver vote of thanks.
We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, Professor N. Sundararajan, School of Electrical and Electronic Engineering, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. Sir, your enlightening session today on methodologies for writing impactful research papers has been invaluable experience for all of us. Your insights on organizing research and presenting ideas clearly will undoubtedly help us improve our academic pursuits. Thank you, sir. We would also like to express our sincere thanks to our secretary and correspondent, Mr. P.N. Venkatachalam, sir, our vice principal and controller of examinations, Mrs. S.A. Dhanlashmi, ma'am, and dean of the computer science department, Dr. P.M. Gomadi, ma'am, along with the head of the departments for their unwavering support and guidance. A heartfelt thank you for all of our participants, students and faculty for your active engagement and eagerness throughout this session. A special thanks to organizing committee, volunteers and technical team who worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the smooth execution of this event. Finally, I extend my gratitude to everyone present here for your valuable time and participation. Your support has made this event truly special.
Dr. V. Masilamani is currently working as a professor in computer science and engineering and dean students affairs at Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, IIITDM, Kanchipuram. He has received M.Tech in computer science and data processing from IIT Kharagpur in 2003 and PhD in computer science engineering from IIT Madras in 2009. He has about 20 years of experience in teaching and 15 years of research experience. He is teaching digital image processing, computer vision, machine learning and computer graphics apart from core computer science project. His research area includes image processing, computer vision and machine learning. He has published about 75 peer-reviewed research papers in reputed journals and conferences. He has executed several funded and consultancy projects. One of the important projects that he has executed is the design and implementation of software tool to monitor and remove false image or video automatically from the system. that the tool is being installed. He is in charge of computer vision and machine learning research lab at IIIDTM Kajipuram. He is a member of IEEE and ACM. He is serving as a board of study member in various institutions and universities. He is a senate member of IIIDT Kajipuram. He is teaching digital image processing, computer vision, machine learning and computer graphic apart from core computer science subjects. His research area includes image processing, computer vision and machine learning. He has published about 75 peer-reviewed research. Dr. Vimaslamani sir has earned a reputation as a thoughtful leader in teaching. His insightful perspectives and expertise has been sought after by various organizations. I request Dr. Vimaslamani sir to take up the dais and address the gathering.
Morning and good afternoon. Okay, so how are you? Right. So tired? Right. Well, this is more of technical topic, and this requires some basics. Before moving into this topic, let me do some advertisement. And I am from IIIT Kanchipuram. Name of the institute is IIIT Kanchipuram. How many of you know about this institute? Raise your hand. Nobody knows? Right. Okay. Anyway, I take that. Fine. I take this opportunity to introduce my institute. Our institute is similar to IIT. Right. IIT is meant for all engineering branches. But in our institute, we have engineering branches related to IT, manufacturing and design. We have B.Tech in computer science and engineering, B.Tech in computer science and engineering with artificial intelligence as specialization, and we have ME in AIDS, artificial intelligence and data science, and we also have B.Tech, M.Tech in ECE, mechanical, smart manufacturing and design. And we also offer PhD in all streams, all these streams, computer science, ECE, mechanical, design, all that. Of course, physics and maths, they are supporting departments. And more importantly, for our PG students, we give a decent stipend of, I think, 12,000 rupees per month. For our PhD scholars, we give first 2 years per month 37,000, and next 3 years, third year onwards till 5th year, per month 42,000 rupees we give a stipend, and soon we will give more, we will give 30% HRE for this basic So if anybody is interested in doing PhD, you are welcome. And we admit PhD students twice in a year. One in the month of January, for that the call for will come in the month of October or November. Another one in the month of July we will admit, for that the call for will come in the month of March or April. So you can go through our institute website, just type IIIT Kanchipuram. It's not actually in Kanchipuram, disclaimer, and we are in Chennai, outskirts of Chennai. You all know Vandalar Zoo, right? How many of you don't know about Vandalar Zoo? Raise your hands. All of you know, right? Right. This is second largest zoo in Asia. Our institute is on the same road where the zoo is there, just 7 kilometers from the zoo. Right? That road is called as Mahabalipuram Road or Vandalu Kalambakam Road. So our institute is there on that road. So it is in Chennai, not in Kanchipuram. You know, nowadays people are not just looking at the institute; they are also looking at where it is placed. And they don't mind joining some useless college in Chennai, but they don't want to join in some college in some small villages like in Kovilpatti and so on. They don't want to join. But there are some good institutes over there. Anyway, so today I am going to talk on generative AI. This is a catchy word, and everybody is trying to learn this irrespective of the discipline, whether they are from computer science or other discipline, they want to study this. Let's see what it is. So the title of the talk is Gen AI, why, what and how. we'll try to answer all these questions. When you study any concept, you need to ask these 3 questions. Why I should study that? What is it? And the third thing, how it is used, how it is developed and all that. So we'll start with a brief introduction to this GenAI. Then we'll move on to the evolution of GenAI models that started in the year 1966. People are using this word now only, but it was there in different forms in the olden years as well. Right. And we will also see a specific model, a set of specific models like autoencoders and its variants like autoencoder, variation autoencoder, vector quantization variation autoencoder, discrete variation autoencoder. These are different variants of autoencoder model. Then we will see a model called GAN, generative adversarial network. Then we will move on to transformers, which is the basic tool for developing a lot of generative models nowadays. You have heard of this ChatGPT and all, right? That came out of GPT-3, GPT-4. They're all basically using transformers. So you see what is transformer, what is GPT, and its version 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we will move on to image generative models like Darling, DALL-E 1, 2, and there are other models like Clip, diffusion models, Clyde models. All that we are planning to do. I don't know how much time it will take, and if you are getting bored, you can stop me. If we reach the deadline of the time, we will stop. So this is the overall outline. And if I'm not able to cover some later part of the models, it's still fine. I'll give you the PPT. You can go through that. Sir asked how many of you know LaTeX, right? And when you prefer LaTeX, you can see the quality of the font used and the style it is used, right? You don't want to put your own thought process for arranging this. You can just use a template. You can give the details in the template. It will give nice presentation like this. Right. Okay. So what is generative AI? Anyone knows about it? How many of you have studied GenAI in some form in NPTEL or in your college, or have read some news articles on GenAI? How many of you? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of you have not read? Raise your hands. Right. So only 2, 3, right? What about other people? Did not understand my question? Usually in my class, I'll ask question such a way that I'll get the answer which I like. Suppose I want most of them to say yes, I'll ask the question accordingly. Right? Because I know people will not raise their hands for anything. Okay. Why we want to ask all these questions? Any reason? Unless I know about the listener, I'll not be able to present, which will be useful to you, right? So I was told by your faculty members that some are from physics background, maths background, computer science background, right? And so heterogeneity is there. But this is more of technical talk. So, but I'll try to make as much as possible to understand to you all. But still, I may not be able to reach the objective. If you have any doubt, you can stop me at any point in time. And typically, to understand this topic, what is expected is that you should have done some course in image processing, computer vision, neural network, or other machine learning topics. Okay. So if but having said that, you see, every Friday in Times of India, there will be many articles written about GenAI. Every Friday, go and read that, right? About GenAI they are writing, and they know that they are not writing only for computer science people. They are writing for everybody. Right? So therefore, when they are able to sell GenAI to everybody, why not I? So therefore, this heterogeneity doesn't matter. Right? But still, I'll not get into too much of details. Right. So let us start with the definition of GenAI. GenAI is basically a model that generates image, video, text, tables, graphs, music, poetry, right? So the model has become poet. It produces poetry, right? So it may be wondering, but still it is doing it. Of course, it does it with some error, right? Then you may ask, see, algorithm should not give any error. That is traditional algorithm that you studied in Corman, right? But if you look at the heuristics like genetic algorithms, hand coloring, or any other algorithms that are used for practical purposes, they all commit errors. Even the face recognition or fingerprint recognition, is it working with 100% accuracy? No. Right? In my institute, every day we have to give biometric attendance. I need to press my finger some 10 times to get it accepted, which means only 10% accuracy is there. Luckily, it doesn't recognize anybody wrongly, although it rejects people wrongly. So therefore, we have learned to live with mistakes. Right? Even human being cannot do things perfectly, right? Right? When a friend is coming to you, which you have seen them maybe some 15 years back, you will not be able to recognize. Right? So when you are doing mistake, why don't you accept the algorithm doing mistake? You can accept that, isn't it? So, but that the acceptance of error, should be to some extent only. It should not be too much. So all these generative models are capable of generating various data, starting from text till video. Right? It is generating all sorts of data. And why we want such models to generate? What do you model, by the way? Right? Just replace the word model by algorithm. Or if you're not familiar with the algorithm, no problem. You just replace model with a program. Program generating all this data. So why should we write a program to generate data? A human being can type, they will get the data, right? You can use cameras, you can get the videos and images, right? And you can, write or draw the graphs, and you can use as a graph data. Like the human being can do that. Then why do you want this models or programs to generate the data is the question, right? So that is a why part. What part is completed? Why part. Why we want to generate the data using a program. The first thing. Okay, this is TV, right? Okay. So, personalized computing. There is a word called personalized computing. What is personalized computing? Just look at the scenario. Suppose there is an online lecture, NPTEL lecture, right? That NPTEL lecture, that is reasonably okay. There are lectures given by Stanford University and MIT. Right? And the professors from Stanford, they have given lectures such a way that their Stanford students can understand that. So that static lecture is given to everybody in the world. Will everybody can understand that? No. What about the properties of Stanford universities? Stanford is collecting the best students throughout the world. Right? #1 university for computer science. Right? And only best students are joining. And therefore, their level of understanding the mathematical fundamentals and engineering fundamentals will be very strong. And therefore, all their lectures will be very abstract. What do you mean abstract? Less details means more abstract, right? And such a video, if you listen, you will not be able to understand. Then what is the purpose of creating such lectures and put it in a website so that everybody can understand that? They will say that the student should come to that level to understand. But it is not practical, right? So one way is that you can make different videos of the same content or same syllabus with different levels. When I say level, I mean more abstract, less abstract, even more less abstract, and so on. Lesser the abstract, more the details. Therefore, it is easy for the students to understand. But only thing is that you have to sit for longer time. So let us say we have lectures prepared at 10 levels for the same concept. Let us say binary search tree. Right? It's a data structure and the definition, the properties, the algorithms based on that are prepared in different levels, 10 levels. Right? And all the lectures, 10 level lectures are stored in the database in a computer. Right? And your let us say a group of students are watching that. A single student is watching that. He is just clicking I want binary search tree talk, and first it is showing one lecture, one version of the lecture. And you may do like this, like this, like this, and so on, right? It will recognize your facial expression, whether you are feeling comfortable or you find it difficult. Then accordingly it will pop another video to suit your level. This is what we mean by personalized computing for teaching and learning purpose. So one example. Like that, depending on the requirement, depending on the environment, the specific content will be shown. For that, a lot of understanding is required, facial, expression recognition is required, and maybe, some systems, will ask you some questions, and you'll have to answer those questions. Based on that, they will figure out whether you are suitable for the first level, second level, third level, and so on. Accordingly, the content will be displayed to you. And the next one, there is something known as artificial generalized intelligence. What is generalized? Just take this example, human brain. With single brain, I can recognize humans, I can recognize chairs, I can recognize video camera, I can recognize so many things. Same time I can write program in C, C++, Python, many languages I can write. And I can, fight with people, I can play, my brain is helping me to do all different activities. Single brain. Do you have an algorithm for doing all different tasks? Single algorithm? If you take sorting algorithm, you can only sort, you cannot do searching. Right? So every algorithm can do only one specific task. Similarly, a model usually can do only one task. If it is recognizing face, the same model you cannot use it for recognizing fingerprints. Right. But what is the objective of artificial intelligence? Mimicking human. In other words, mimicking human brain. Where are we? So much of gap is there. Right? Single brain is able to solve so many problems, whereas for every single task, a single problem, you have different model, which means you are not able to mimic brain closely. So therefore, people are trying to make this artificial and generalized intelligent model, which means that make a single model for many tasks, not just for single task. In other words, make a single algorithm for solving many problems. Not all problems, that's not possible. Many problems at least. Right? So that is what artificial generalized intelligence. Generalizing the model to accommodate more problems. Earlier, it was able to solve. We will be able to solve only one problem with one model. Right. That is one task, and that task you can achieve not 100%. You can achieve to some extent using generative AI. We will see. And third reason why we want this generative AI is that we want to surpass, overtake human intelligence. That is called as artificial super intelligence. When I studied pattern recognition machine learning for the first time in IIT Kharagpur, when I did my MTech, I studied that. It was in the year 2001. That time, my pattern recognition teacher told that no human being, no algorithm can beat human being. Right? Because, in all machine learning models, if you have studied, you know that the ground truth is given by the human. Therefore, the algorithm that you write will be as good as the human being at best, at its best. It cannot go beyond that. Understandable? Because the standard itself is human. Therefore, something which is mimicking that standard cannot go beyond the standard. But what happens today, there are so many problems human beings are not able to solve properly, but computer is able to solve properly, better than human. That is what we mean to say super intelligence. So more intelligence than human intelligence. That's not possible for all possible tasks, obviously. For some task, the algorithm will do better than the human. Can you increase that domain of problem solving? Right? That is what is trying to be achieved by this ASI, artificial super intelligence. To manage these three types of things, objectives, the generative AI models are useful. So let me give one more insight why somebody should look at this Gen AI. Some of my friends are working in the industry. I asked them, nowadays last 2-3 years, job opportunities going down every year. You all know that, right? And people are saying that the college is not doing well, the placement office is not doing well, but the reality is that everywhere it is going down, right? Not everybody is doing bad, right? So why is it so? There are many reasons. The wars are going around, and the other one, the governments are not spending enough for the computing and all that. And more importantly, all companies are suspicious about the capability of this Gen AI. Suspicious is that they think that this Gen AI will replace a human being. Therefore, many people may lose jobs, and therefore, if they take more employees now, and at some point in time they have to send them out, so therefore, they are suspicious in this thing, and they don't want to take more people. This is one of the reasons why the companies are not taking more engineers nowadays, but the scenario may change. So if you look at this graph, you'll come to know why Gen AI is very important. Just look at this bar chart, and that says the revenue that is coming out of Gen AI. That's increasing, kind of exponentially, right? It is exponential function. Right? Where are we now? We are in 2005. Somewhere we are here, and how much is the revenue? Just $137 billion. But you see, how it is rapidly growing, it is only predicted, how it is rapidly growing as far as this prediction model is concerned. You see, in 2032, right? Around how many years now? 20,
8 years.
yeah, some 8 years, right? And you see, $1,304 billion, right? So, so huge, potential for the increase in revenue is there. And just look at this, the orange color curve. That is telling what is the percentage of the money spent by the companies on AI is shown here. That is also growing, rapidly. You can see here, we are somewhere here, only now 3% of fund is given for Gen AI by the tech companies, right? And in 2030, that will grow to 12%, right? When I say tech company, not just computing, all car companies, every company that you think of, if you consider all of them together, and in 2032, the spend will be 12% for Gen AI. So what does it mean? As I told, you should not just give the graph, should not just give the table. You have to give the inference, right? Otherwise, the reviewers will object. They will not accept your paper, right? So what is the inference out of it? What is the take home for you? You all can study Gen AI. You will get job with high probability, no guarantee. Right. Okay. Let us look at evolution of this Gen AI. Although this phrase is used recently, and in the year 1966 itself, there was a model called ELIZA. It was basically a chatbot developed by Joseph Weizenbaum from MIT, and that is basically trying to give the answer for the queries that you asked in text. And later in 1980s, the autoencoder models were introduced, and then in 2011 by Apple, there was a personal assistant developed and given to the people. The name of that is Siri. That is considered to be very good personal assistant. And in 2013, variation autoencoder came, and then GAN came in 2014. Have you seen this name Goodfellow? Ian Goodfellow? And he has written a nice book on deep learning. And those who are interested in studying deep learning, please read that book. And he was the designer of the model GAN. Then 2017, a variation of GAN came, the name Cycle GAN. And then 2017, another big advancement came called Transformer. And Transformer is the building block for all the LLMs, large language models that are being used currently. And the BERT, the Robert, all these are, are making use of this Transformer, and particularly this GPT version, GPT 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4, all these are using Transformers. And of course, in Transformers there are two modules. One is encoder, the other one is decoder, and they are all using decoder parts alone. Then we have a model called P5, which was developed by Google researchers in 2020. And then OpenAI, see the Google team and OpenAI team are fighting with each other and producing models, Gen AI models, and we are all beneficiaries of that. And next, DALL-E was developed by OpenAI group in the year 2021, and it is capable of generating images. And why this image generation is important? Of course, there are many reasons. One of the reasons is that when we build this deep learning models, and they are all data hungry models, but the amount of data that is available to you as an academic, you have very limited data set. But what will you do? You cannot employ people to take more images, and even if you manage to take images, and labeling that will be even more difficult. But if there is an automatic way of generating data, then you can use it, right? And that is where this DALL-E and other variants of DALL-E came into the picture. And we have a model called Stable Diffusion Model that is also capable of generating images. And ChatGPT, as you all know, it came out from this transformer, and it was given by OpenAI group in 2022. Now it is, earlier it was integrated with Bing search. Now Microsoft has taken over, and they are giving it to you for free. Some benefits. I mean, if you want full benefits of that, you may have to pay for it. And ChatGPT. GPT-4 is the recent one produced by OpenAI, and its model, the architecture is not revealed by them, because they wanted to make money out of it, and then they gave it to Microsoft, and Microsoft knows how to make money out of every technical advancement. So as an example of the Gen AI model, you just take this DALL-E model. The DALL-E model is generating images from the text that you give. For example, you give the text like this: an armchair in the shape of an avocado, an armchair imitating an avocado fruit. If you give this text prompt, then you'll get these images. How many of you have not seen avocado fruit? Raise your hand. It has got high pH value. People used to say during Corona, if you take this fruit, the virus will die. That much pH value it has got. And it has got interior layer in one color, the exterior layer in another color, something like this. And if you have taken your cameras wherever you go in the world, you will not be able to capture such images, right? Because there is no realistic or real object looking like this, But you can use the algorithm to generate this kind of images. Why people are addicted to cartoon? Some people are addicted to cartoon, not to the videos or movies captured. But that unrealistic thing is making people interested in looking at this video. And those things, you can see here. These are the chairs that are designed, which is imitating the fruit avocado. Right. Now let us get into the technical things. Right. So far we got the motivation.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure, sir.
Very recently, 2 or 3 days back,
Okay.
I saw equivalent to ChatGPT from Chinese,
Okay.
which is in the public domain.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Check. Because this ChatGPT is not charging money, right?
Yeah.
So they want to put it
Basic
in
version
the
they
public
give it for
domain.
free.
Chinese students and it is taking it by revolution by all the people.
Okay.
Very recently.
Okay.
They're not interested.
If it is given with Chinese, soon they will charge. Like our
Right
video,
now they are
right?
saying in public domain. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Of course, there are some free LLMs like Llama and all those things, and they are also generating, the images and videos, even text. Right. And I don't know about this Chinese version. We'll see that.
Very recently, 2 days back, LinkedIn.
Right. Let us look at this model, autoencoder model. How many of you don't know about ANN? Raise your hands. Artificial neural network. I told you, I'll ask right question to suit my interest. Which means everyone knows ANN, right? How many of you don't know ANN? I'll not ask you further questions on that. I'll not ask you to define and so on, right? Anyway, this requires some, ANN to be known. Well, you can see many blocks, right? The first one is input. The last one is the output. The word auto means the input output input output are expected to be the same. Not the same, expected to be the same. Right. And the second block, encoder, that is basically a neural network. Right? That will convert this input image into some vector. Right? That is called as latent vector or feature vector, or you can call it with any name. And that is given to another neural network called decoder. Decoder, encoder, just names. Right? We'll see the naming convention later. They are just ANNs. And decoder network will transform that Z into X hat, which is expected to be as similar as to this X. So there are two phases, two things for any machine learning models. One is training phase. In the training phase, what happens is that this X will be given to neural network, and that will produce something as output called Z, and that will be given to another network called decoder, that will give some output, call it as X hat. Now during the training, you will find the difference between this X and X hat. What is the difference? You can apply any metrics, right, including distance or any similarity metrics you can define. And find the difference between the X and X hat, we call this loss, right? And there is an algorithm called gradient descent algorithm that will update the weights of the neural network using the loss that is generated, right? The derivative of loss will be considered, and the derivative of loss will be multiplied with a constant that will be subtracted from the old weight to get the new weight. That is the algorithm given by gradient descent. Right? Let me not get into that. So there is a way to update the weights. What are weights? Those who are not aware of ANN, doesn't matter. You all know graph. Any computer science student should know graph. Right? It is basically a weighted directed graph. Right? And what we may parameters is that all the weights are parameters. Initially we start with some random weights. Then using this algorithm, gradient descent algorithm, we will update the weights. Right? And for updating the weights, the loss function value is the key factor. Right? Derivative of the loss function value will be multiplied by a constant that we subtracted from the old weight to get the new weight. That's the gradient descent algorithm. And so suppose this loss, so-called loss, meaning the difference between X and X hat is very high, then the update to the current weights will be more. Because difference is high means what? The derivative loss function will also be very high. Right? And you will update all the weights of the weights of the model, and you will keep doing it, right, until this X hat is very close to X. Right? All numerical algorithms will be stopped when convergence is met. What is convergence? Theoretically it means something. Practically, the value that you got in the last iteration and current iteration are very close. The difference is less than some epsilon, greater than epsilon. Then you will stop. Well, some probabilistic interpretation is that, for example, the decoder, right? It is, the neural network can be viewed algebraically as a graph you can view pictorially, or you can also view that as a probabilistic function. Right? For example, this encoder is taking X as an input and giving Z as output, right? That you can view as the probabilistic function given X finding Z. What is the probability that given X, Z can be computed? Conditional probability, you all know, right? So algebraically you can model this encoder, or probabilistically you can model this encoder. Similarly, decoder also can be modeled as this. Given this latent vector Z, what is the probability that you can generate X hat? P of X hat given Z. Right. Understood? So once you got this encoder decoder designed that way, during testing or when you deploy the model, what you will get is that you will only get the benefit of decoder. Encoder is not useful at all, right, for the application purpose. What is Z? Z is some vector. For a vector, if you give that vector as an input to decoder, decoder will give nice image. Right? So only decoder will be used. And if you collect for some set of long set of images and get their corresponding Z values and plot in a plane like this, you get this kind of things. Some clustering mechanism you can see. Right? Every cluster will be corresponding to set of images that are very similar. For example, face image of my face, right? Different cameras taken at different point in time, at different distances and different orientations, and you'll get set of images of my face, right? Although they are all different, they all have some similarity, right? So therefore, naturally they will form one cluster. Like that, all the face images of madam will form one cluster like that. So that set of all Z when you plot, you will see like this. This is the effect of autoencoder. People are not happy with this because there are some gaps between two clusters. See, when you deploy the model, you are supposed to get some Z as an input to decoder, but if space is like this, right, you are supposed to give data only from the cluster. Suppose you give somewhere from top left. Corresponding to that Z, the decoder will give some nonsense output. That may not make any sense. But if you give some vector which is inside some cluster, close to the cluster, then it corresponding to that your decoder model will give very nice output. Right. So one problem here is that when you randomly pick a data from this, with some probability you will not get a good generated image. So people thought they have to do something. Sir told, you need to have right problem statement and then algorithm and all that, right? How do you come up with a problem, research problem? You need to look at what is the best known available literature and see what is the bad thing about that. What is the bad thing about the best known algorithm in your field? For example, assuming I want to generate images, I need to develop GenAI models, and so far I have only autoencoder model, and latent space of that is like this. Then when I take a arbitrary vector from this space, there is a possibility that corresponding to that vector, the generated image is not making any sense. That is an issue found with the existing model. Then what is my objective? My objective is to get the latent space which is distributed throughout the plane, not clustered here and there. It should not leave too much of gap. That is where the next model came, variation autoencoder. This is how you need to develop a newer model from the existing model after finding some issues. Then you need to quantify the difference, and you need to tell why the new model is working better than the previous model, and that is what research is. Research means you need to get better result, as I told 20% improvement, 30% improvement. That is not good enough. Because if you write 20% improvement, how does the reviewer understand that it is really 20% difference? I can write 99, 100, right? Nothing will stop me in typing it, right? Then how the reviewer will understand that whether what you write is correct or not? Justification, the reason. Of course, many things are not provably correct, but at least some intuitive reason why you are able to get better result than the existing result. You need to write such a way that the reviewers can understand. That is what the science is. Right? You need to figure out science in anything that you do. Otherwise, nowadays, improving performance is easy. How easy? In Python tool itself, there are many built-in functions for doing some optimizations. Right? Change a optimization function from one to the other, and replace one layer by another layer, and drop some neurons, add some neurons. If you do randomly like this for some 2-3 days, at least one version of that will give you better result than the existing one. It's always possible. But if you say that I did optimization this way, I fine-tuned this model this way, that is not good enough. That's not a good research. Maybe for a BTech project, BSc project is fine. But if you want to publish a paper in a good journal or a conference, that's not good enough. So you need to make theoretical command.
The same point. In the point,
Get the point.
Optimization.
Optimization, right. So it is always possible to make the existing model performing better than what it is currently. How? In Python there are a lot of functions. Right? You can replace one layer in the existing model with another layer using built-in functions Python. Right? You can drop some neurons, add some neurons using some built-in functions. Right? and you can train the model and you test it, there's a very high probability that you'll be able to get better results than the previous version of the model. But that's not good enough for publishing the model in a good conference. Why? Because everyone knows this, right? And it is routine work. There is no science. There is no engineering also. Right? But if you find the reason why it works on top of this, then it will make good research. And finding why it works is what we mean by science. You need to figure out, discover science. What is the difference between science and engineering, by the way? What is the difference between science and engineering? You are all science students or engineering students. It is bad that in our country engineers are rated high than science people, but it should be the other way. Engineering is easy, science is not easy. But I don't know what you are doing in science or not, that is different story. Because nowadays, if you look at the curriculum of B.Tech CSE, BSc CSE, you don't find any difference. What is the objective of scientists? What is the objective of engineers? For that, we should know what is science, what is engineering. How do you define science? Creation. Creation, only God can create. So the word discovery is always associated with science. The word invention is always associated with engineering. What is the difference between the word discovery and invention? Yeah, invention is something that you develop out of what is already available. Discovery is something that you figure out for the first time, which is already available in the universe, right? Apple falling, right? One guy noticed that apple is falling for the first time, right? Everyone saw that earlier, but he noticed for the first time, right? Everyone knows that, if you get into the, bathtub, some water will go out, right? There is no great thing in that. But one guy, told Eureka, Eureka, he found something. He realized it. He discovered something, right? So the discovery is different from invention. And for instance, making aeroplane, right, is an invention or discovery. So he used all the techniques that are available, and he also knew how the birds are flying, and he tried to imitate how the birds are flying in the mechanical component with electronics components. He made it, right? So discovery is basically figuring out what is already there in the universe, finding the fact. Whereas engineering is making use of facts and giving some product. Right. Okay, anyway, let us not get into that too much. So making a model is engineering. Right? Given the model, figuring out why it is working, how it is working, the science behind it, right, is science. Suppose you prove mathematically that this algorithm works correctly. It's science. Right? You design some algorithm with some steps, not even knowing the correctness of algorithm, but you see that for n inputs it is giving correct output for m inputs, where m is very close to n. Then you can say that you are an engineer, not scientist, right? Because you are not able to prove the correctness. Well, this variation autoencoder is making small difference to the existing model called autoencoder. This is autoencoder, and all these components are still there with variation autoencoder, right? That X is there, that Z is there, that X hat is there. All three are there. The encoder is there, decoder is there. All are there. And what is new? The encoder now is giving two vectors. One vector is called as mu, just name. Mu is just name. And another vector called sigma. Whereas the earlier encoder was giving only one vector as output. But this encoder is giving two vectors as output. Clear? You call the first one as a mean. Can you call any random vector as a mean? Gaussian distribution, normal distribution, you all know, right? For any given mean and standard deviation, you can get a normal curve, because those are the parameters. So take this mu and sigma as parameters. Now you think of a Gaussian curve with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. That's possible. And take the random variable z which is normally distributed by adding mu to sigma times some epsilon, where epsilon is a again random number taken from a distribution which is Gaussian distributed with mean 0 and standard deviation. This language is clear, right? Those who, all of you would have studied mathematics, right? Probably. Okay, and that result is given as input to decoder. Earlier in the variational model, just autoencoder model, basic model, Z was computed directly from encoder. Now, encoder is not giving Z directly. It is only giving two vectors mu and sigma. Out of those two vectors, we are forming another vector Z. That Z is given to decoder as input. So, one extra step is there. What is the benefit of it? What is the use of it? The use comes here, the second box, right, plane, right, finite plane, right. It has got all the latent vectors, the z vectors, and the first finite plane, right, that has got all the z vectors computed by autoencoder. The second one computed by varying autoencoder, right. The one which is produced by varying autoencoder has got more spread, whereas the other one has got gap in between clusters. Now if you randomly take a point from this second one and give that to the decoder's input, the decoder will give a nice images output. Whereas here if you take a random vector and give it to that, then you may not get a nice output, right? Because if you take something very close to the clusters or inside the cluster, you'll get nice output. But here more data you can generate by picking random vectors from the latent space. That is a benefit. So this is what practically we see, but what is the theoretical justification that here the Z data Z will be more distributed, sparsely distributed, distributed with space, distributed like this, right? Meaning there is no significant gap between samples, whereas here you have significant gap between samples. Why it is so? See, we are playing with Gaussian random variable. What is the property of Gaussian random variable? It's two-dimensional. At the center, you have more density of the samples. As you go away from the center, you have lesser density, isn't it? So theoretically, it is supported. Whereas here, we don't have any random variable concept. The spread of the data samples we don't know, and mostly, but it is observed practically that they are all forming clusters. And an example of generating data from the sample space or latent space is that suppose we have 4 clusters, this one triangle, this polygon, this oval, this rectangle, and these 4 clusters we have, let us say, and all the points close to this one will generate polygons like this, close to this rectangle, close to this triangle, close to this oval, let's say. Suppose you take a point somewhere here, that orange color, right? That's a point. Corresponding to that point, if you run your decoder, decoder will give this as output because that is close to this. Suppose you take a point which is in the intersection area of this triangle and this rectangle, that will give a polygon like this because this has got some properties of this and this together. So you all know what is linear combination of basis vectors, right? If you assume that these are basic components, linear combination of this will be like this, something like that. Right. Okay, any doubts so far? So basic model, autoencoder. The next model is variation autoencoder. Any query? Okay, fine. So let us move on to the next model. Next model is another variant of this autoencoder called vector quantization variation autoencoder. To understand that, we need to understand some basics from computer vision. Let us quickly go through that and then come to that. So you all know the visual words. Do you? Image processing, have you studied? No. Okay. Don't worry. If you look at concepts, many concepts are kind of, translated from some other concepts. There is nothing like, pure research. If you are a critic, right, any research paper that comes in, you can say that it is not having originality. Even you can say that, the right brothers have not done anything original. They only copied bird. The ship manufacturers and designers, they have not done anything original. They copied the fish. Like that we can keep on saying. one thing that we do in signal processing is that there may be an algorithm in NLP, natural language processing, right? That we will convert into computer vision domain. Similarly, some new algorithm may be there in computer vision domain. That we will convert into NLP domain. So conversion is also challenging, not that easy. But the original idea is already there in some other domain. So we say that it is plagiarism, it is copied and so on, if it is copied from the same domain. If it is copied from some other domain, it's fine. Another thing in mathematics and algorithm design for many years, what we do, if concept is there in one dimension, meaning let us say n dimension, it is already there. And we bring that concept to n plus 1 dimension. Right? That involves some challenges. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. Like that, we transfer ideas from one domain to another domain. Right? So you can do that. Why I need to tell that is that even if you don't know about this visual words and all, you all know English statements, right? You know, we have dictionary. Forget about the meaning part. We have collection of all possible English words in the dictionary. Right? Any sentence that you write in English will be a sequence of some of the words from the dictionary. Is that right? So we say dictionary as the code book. Every English word is a code. Right? Anything that you write, any sentence that you write in English is basically a sequence of codes that you have taken from the code book, so-called dictionary. Make sense? The same way, this concept can be, interpreted in image domain. Instead of a sequence of characters as a code, we can keep a small image patch as a code. In an image, you take smaller rectangular area, you call that as a visual code. Right? And if you have a large database of so many images, for every image you take patch, image patch. A patch that you took from one image may be there in the same image in some other place. Maybe there in other places also, other images also. Right? Like, English word is not there only in one sentence, right? Maybe there in many sentences. Like that. So, take a large database, collect all the visual words that way and store them in a place called dictionary or code book. It is called as code book. Now you try to represent every given image in terms of this visual codes. How many times each visual code appears in the image. Right? So that's what I explained here. This is a schematic representation of code book. And any image that you see can be approximately written as the number of occurrence of each of this code book entry. Let's say first code may appear 0 time, 1 time, 2 times, whatever. Like that, every code in this code book may appear with some number of frequencies in a particular image in hand. Now, why we need to look at this? You don't need to represent image by all this. Just sequence of numbers will be sufficient. For example, the first code is appearing 4 times. Then you make a feature vector. In the first component you put 4. Let's say the second code is making 0 occurrence in the image. Then second component is 0. Like that, for every code in this code book, you see how many times it is appearing in the image. That number you put in the vector. Now you can form a vector of what length? Number of codes length. Right? In the code book, if n codes are there, the feature vector dimension will be n. Now every image can be represented by such a feature vector now. Right? So instead of representing image with 3 matrices, RGB matrices, now you have a one-dimensional vector representing the image effectively. That's the use of this code book representation. All this are already explained. I told number of times. The height is basically representing how many times every code appears. It's called a histogram. Right. So, how many of you have heard this word vector quantization? Vector quantization. Those who have studied signal processing, linear algebra might have studied this. Vector quantization. What is quantization? Reducing the transform the input into some set of predefined values, right? Like 2.2 is converted to 2. 2 is one of the predefined values. If we extend this idea to the vectors, how do you extend? The given vector may be of n dimension, each value may be of real number, but if you keep the final output as a 3D vector where every value in the coordinates of the vector is either 0 or 1, then you can say that it is a finite vector with discrete values 0 and 1. So converting a vector of n dimension into a smaller, usually smaller feature vector with values that are from the predefined values called quantized values. So that is called as vector quantization, which is there in many courses studied. For example, n-dimensional vector is converted into two-dimensional vector. That is one property. Another property, after converting such vector, every coordinate value in the vector should be from specific value that is already defined, either 0 or 1, right, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. You cannot keep this y as any real number and this another y value any real number. The real numbers are not quantized. Well, let us use this vector quantization with the very short encoder that we studied. Take an input image and pass that to some neural network. On top you see some graph, right? That is neural network. And that neural network will give some representation of this image. That you call it as Z vector. Z. Z suffix C. Encoded Z for that particular input X. Now, this Z you just observe. Z is basically sequence of vectors, right? And in the schematic diagram, you see 3D structure, right? And you just go from this place to this place, right? Opposite to you, you'll form a vector. So that vector is basically one of the representations of that image. Image is represented by sequence of vectors. One such vector you take, and that vector is converted into any one of the predefined vectors that is there in the code book. Because we want to quantize, like if you take real number 2.3, converting that into 2 is called as quantization. Right? If you take a representation vector Z and convert that into any of the predefined vector in the code book is called as quantization. Vector quantization, because we are doing quantization for the vector here. So you convert that and store those numbers of the those indices of the codes in the code book here in the output. See now, from the input we are getting 2D array of numbers as output. Each number is representing one code that is there in the code book. You give that to the decoder and decoder will give you the original image as close as possible. So why it is called as autoencoder? The input output are expected to be the same. You have studied automorphism. What is automorphism? Those who studied math. Raise your hands, math students. What is automorphism? What is the difference between homomorphism and automorphism? You didn't expect this question here, right? Right. Auto means same, right? Input output same means here auto. And homomorphism is called as automorphism if domain and codomain are the same. Well, so you can see in the variation autoencoder, vector quantized autoencoder, and even in autoencoder, in all three models, input output are the same. Then why we need to generate, right? If you tell the layman, he will say that what is the problem? Why are you trying to generate the input? Anyway, you have input with you, right? Any answer? Why do you need to generate the same input as output? Arachamma arapamma. What is the name? Why do you need trying to generate the input? The first step is generating an encoding for the data, right? And then from the encoding, the decoder is generating the encoding. There is an area called feature engineering in machine learning, feature engineering. It is trying to, represent the given input with a short but effective vector. But all along, before the advent of this deep learning networks, it is the responsibility of the engineers to design such feature vector to represent the input. It's very, very difficult. It's very subjective. Right? To differentiate apple from orange, I will say color and shape, but sir will say something else. Right? Sometimes what I told may be good, sometimes what he told may be good, which means nothing is optimum. Right? So finding optimum feature vector representing the object is very, very, very challenging. Thanks to this deep learning network, we allow the network to find the best possible feature vector that can connect the input output. And if you take the output of the encoder, right, that ZE, right, that is nothing but a feature vector. Right? Why you can say it is a feature vector? The encoder is converting image to so-called feature vector. From that feature vector, the decoder is converting to the output image, which is same as input image.
So is there any role played by prompt engineering over here?
No prompt engineering here. Input is image. So here the task is slightly different. Prompt engineering will come to that. See, image is converted into a small vector Z. That small vector Z is converted into the image again. Can't you say Z as a feature vector? What is the property, good property of feature vector? It should represent the input truly. What do you mean by representing truly? It should possess all the information as that of the input. Unless it has got all the information of the input image, how you can generate output image from that?
So whether all the features are taken properly.
Or not, yeah. So I am saying that Z is keeping all the features of input image. Why? How can I say that? Suppose, method by contradiction, right? You know the proof, right? Method by contradiction. Suppose that Z is not having all the properties of input. We would not have got the output image X. Since, therefore, it is contradictory to the fact that output image is same as input image. Which means that whatever we assumed is not right. What was our assumption? Z was not having all the properties. So I can say that Z is a good feature vector because from Z we are able to construct the output image which is same as input image. Okay. Let's move on. How much more time? A little bit water? 20 minutes. Any queries so far? So a little bit more mathematics. Before that I will take some water.
They don't go.
Let them go and come. Don't stop them. Let them go and come. Only if I tell them that they should come back. Well, see, in all these deep learning models, the loss function plays a critical role. As I told, to update the weights of the model, we have to take the derivative of loss function and multiply that with some constant and subtract that value from the old weight value to find the new weight value. So what is the loss function for this network? This is a typical interview question and typical question that is asked in any presentation, but many students don't answer this because so many of the research papers are not written by the students in many cases, written by not supervisors. Supervisors don't have time. ChatGPT will not create anything; it can only copy and paste and give new idea to learn. Consulting companies, right? In the name of consulting companies. Even I used to get a lot of mails from many people that we will write paper for you. If they are writing paper for me, what I will do that?
The target.
Huh?
Target.
You have to achieve target. See, if that is assumed to be right, then for thief also to reach his target, he can steal bank and loot houses, right?
So
He is
the
right.
reason
Right?
for why message that is coming to you.
I don't know.
target.
No. Message, not that I am seeking their end. Whichever email ID is there in the internet, just type my name. You will get all my profile right in the internet, which means it is accessible to everybody. So whichever email that they're accessing to, they will send it. That will be the
Designation is professor, sir, so they are sending.
எல்லாருக்குமே வருது அவ்வளோ
If
யாரா
email-
அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிற மாதிரி.
No, email ID is available, they will send it. Right? That's it. They don't find out, whether he will accept our offer and all that. He is sending. And some of the mails are sent by automatic system. And the human doesn't know to whom they are sending. Well, now I'm getting, birthday wishes from Prime Minister every year. Right? He doesn't know me at all. Automated. They are picking data from somewhere, Facebook or wherever, and they're sending it. And there will be some message at the bottom of the mail. If you don't want to receive that, let us know. Right, like that will be done. Well, so, just define the last function like this. So, the first term in the last function is basically a probabilistic function given zq of x. Where is zq of x? The output of the encoder. And what is, output of, input of decoder. It's not clear to me. Input of decoder is zq of x. Just follow this. Can I get onto the stage? Well, so this is the output, this is the decoder, input to this decoder is this one, right? And this is zq of x. Given this, what is the probability that this model will generate this? Is what probability of x given zq of x. And we apply logarithm. I've seen in many of the terms, whenever we apply log, whenever we put probability, we also apply log for the probability. Reason why. What is the probability of logarithmic function? Probability value will be 0 to something, right? And the value will be very small, right? 0 to 1 will be very small. And logarithm of those small values will be what? 0, log 0 not defined, log 1 is 0. So between 0 and 1, what will be the logarithmic value? Start with log table you want. You will not be able to find probability. Log 1 is 0, right? Log 1 by 2 is positive or negative? Negative. Less than 1 log will be negative, more than 1 log will be positive. Right. And the log function will tend to minus infinity as x tends to 0. Right? At the limiting case, at x is equal to 0, log x will be minus infinity. So very large negative number will be produced by logarithm if the input value to the logarithmic function is fraction from 0 to 1. Is that right? So to convert the smaller values to large negative, we use this. In other words, we are magnifying the value or doing negative side. And this is basically finding the difference between encoding and the input. You see one term called SG, stop gradient. What is stop gradient? I told weight update is happening using the stochastic gradient algorithm, right? It is finding the gradient, meaning derivative, and it is calculating the updated weight. Stop gradient means don't compute gradient, right? Meaning you retain the weight, old weight as new weight, and then you subtract with E, right? And take down. And this one, stop gradient for X, there, stop gradient for E. Stop gradient for E, and then subtract that with ZE of X and take the norm. So all these three terms you add together to find the overall loss. Any query? If the loss is low, what does it mean? Remember, large negative is what preferred. the similarity is more, the negative is large negative will be there. So lesser the value of this, better the output image that we got, meaning more close is, this is more close to this, right, if this L value is small means large negative. Okay. Let us move on to this discrete version of VAE, vector quantized variant. We finished. There we were trying to learn the vectors, right, the code book vectors. But here there is a small difference. Every code that is generated by the CNN, we will find the corresponding probability distribution of all the codes in the code book. In the earlier version, we only say whether that code is present or not. If it is present, how many times. But here, corresponding to every vector, the representation is that what is the probability of occurrence of each code in the code book. So that's the only difference here. It's all some numerical calculation to mimic that. Okay. So here, one more function is used called Gumbel PDF. The purpose of Gumbel PDF is that in doing this calculation, we convert something known as softmax to Gumbel function, whereas the softmax is discrete version, Gumbel is continuous version. To help the derivative possible, we convert that into this. And before applying Gumbel, let's say we have F. After applying Gumbel, we have F. This F and G are very close, but F is discrete version, G is continuous version. So let me not go into the details of that. So you can assume that the discrete version is trying to understand the probability distribution of all the codes in the code book representing the image. Whereas the vector quantized one is only trying to tell how many times every code in the code book appears in the image. Next model, generative adversarial network model. Maybe with this we'll stop. Right. And we'll stop for some time to discuss. We'll have some question and answers. In generative adversarial model, the input is given to generator. Generator will output something, right? And we also have a target image here. That output is same as this or not is checked by discriminator, right? And the discriminator will say yes if this is same as this. It is saying no, it is when it is not same, right? And this model will get trained till this discriminator says yes, they are same, right? If it says no, meaning they are not same, then the weight updates will happen here. So what is the purpose of this? If you give an image here, it will generate another image. Let's say this is my face image. This will also be my face image, but if you look at the corresponding pixels, they are different, right? So generator is able to generate few images, but meaning wise, this is same as that. What is the role played by discriminator? Discriminator will say that whether it is same as target image or not, right? If it is not same as target image, then it will go on repeating the weight update. See, in autoencoder, input output should be the same, but here we can keep input output same. That is possibility one, and if you want, we can keep another possibility. For example, this may be my face, the target image may be somebody else's face, right? And the generator will convert my face into the target face here, right? Suppose it is not doing properly, the discriminator will say that they are different. Then the generator will update its weight and it will try to produce another image, right? Something like this, right? When the interrogation is happening in the police station, police will keep on beating the thief till he confesses, yes, he has stolen the item. Something like that, right? And the weight update is happening continuously again and again till it generates some image which is close to this. Right? But it started with my face image. Let's say this is some peacock image, right? My image will be converted into peacock image, right? Until then, this will be beaten. Beaten means weight update is happening. You know, the JEE exams you all know. You all know this coaching institutes, right? This Akash, Fiji and all. They will convert anybody to good performer. Right? They are the good generators. Right? Even the input is very bad, they will work that much more time to convert them into a performer. Right? So, weight update is more important here. Okay. So, how much more time can I introduce transformer or sufficient? Brief. Okay. So, let me briefly tell you what is transformer. With transformer, you know, there are a lot of models built like BERT, Robert R, GPT 1, 2, 3, 4, all that. And the transformer has got two modules, module 1, module 2. This module is encoder, this module is decoder. So what is the purpose of encoder and decoder? No board. So let me try to help you understand with an example. If I explain what it is, it will be boring. The very first transformer was successfully built to translate French to English and English to French as well. What does it mean? Given a sentence in French, its corresponding sentence in English was generated by the transformer. Right? It is basically a language translator. It was done earlier also, even before this advent of transformer. How was it done earlier? There's a subject called NLP, Natural Language Processing. You all study compiler design, right? So it will do, what are the phases? Lexical analysis, syntax analysis, semantic analysis, all those analysis will come, Similar sequence of things will be there in NLP also. First you will recognize every word as a token, then you will recognize the syntax of every sentence, then you will try to find out the meaning of every sentence, then you will translate that into the target code, target language. Right? Whether it is compiler or NLP, both are doing similar job. But what is the problem with that? Many of the grammars of spoken languages cannot be formulated. You have studied formal language, right? Like regular language, CFG, all that are formal languages. And if you look at the human language, to define that human language, if you use all these formal languages, or even if you try to define your own formal language, define that, many times you will fail. For example, even for writing program, structured way of writing, right? Even the program also cannot be represented exactly correctly by all CFGs. Some statement will be represented by CFG, some statement cannot be represented by CFG. So then the human language is even worse, right? Worse than the programming language, because the strict syntax is not there. People say Sanskrit is more close to the formal language than any other languages. I'm not sure. People are saying that. And but what is the fact? The fact is any human language cannot be represented by mathematical construct strictly. The reason why is that the spoken language came first, then the grammar came. It's not that grammar was written by Tolu up here and people started speaking grammar. It's not like that. And therefore, once you start using some rule, this side, Coimbatore side one rule, Madurai side another rule, Chennai side another rule, and how do you make a single rule, connecting all this, covering all this? So what I'm trying to say is that translating a sentence in one language to another language, the transformer is built. And every word is transformed into the word in the target language. For that, they have this modules, and this is basically a CNN and all that. But this is not CNN. This is fully connected layer, not convolution layer. And this one is very interesting thing called attention layer. What is this attention layer? Attention layer is taking three inputs, Q, K, V as input, three vectors, and it is outputting Q transpose K into V. Just look at this V. V is a vector which is coming as input and output. Right? In the output, the scaled version of V is coming. Right? The scale is defined by two other vectors, K and Q. Right? And What is the scale? Q transpose K. What is Q transpose K? Dot product of Q and K. What is the meaning of dot product? Cos theta, right? Scale version of cos theta. What is the meaning of cos theta? If the angle between two vectors is so small, then the cos theta will be more or less. Less is the theta value, more the cos theta value, close to 0, right? Because cos theta is what? Cos 0, 1. Cos 90, 0. 0 to 90, it is gradually coming down. So more close to 0, more the value of cos theta, right? If two vectors are very close, then the cos theta value is high, dot product value is high. Which means if two vectors are very similar, then cos theta value will be high, dot product will be high. So this Corey and K is called as Q is Corey, K is the target one, right? If the target and the Corey are matching, or target means answer. Answer and Corey are matching, then the dot product will be very high. Then that is taken as a scale for V, then the V will be boosted up more if the similarity is there. That's the basic idea. And that function called attention function is implemented using neural network. That's what done here. And this one is also similar thing, but with more layers. And this is also another attention layer. And all other things are normal things, like you have fully connected layer, and then you have normalization and all that. That is found in every CNN. The idea is that the input goes here, and that is transformed to feature vector, that goes here. And in the output also, given first n-1 word generated in English, to generate nth word, it will make use of the first n-1 word generated, and also the corresponding French words, and it will generate the nth word in the English language, which is the target language. So, as I told, encoder, decoder, attention, and the encoder will translate the words in the source language sentence, and the decoder will get the nth word in the target language. And in all that, the important point is the attention model, which is implementing that f of k, q, v is equal to q transpose k into v. The meaning of attention is that the v vector has got a lot of components, you know. Some components are given more weights, some components are given less weights. Right? The more weights means more attention is given. Less weight means less attention is given. That is why it is called as attention. Is that fine? So with this, let me stop. And if you have any query directly connected to this presentation, or in general related to ML, DL, AI, if you don't ask me question, then for customary purpose, I will ask some questions. Is that okay? Define AA. I know there are some students studied AA course. Define AA. Don't say artificial intelligence, that is simply expansion. That's not the definition. Many people do that. Scholars, even faculty can also answer. You can make mistake. I'll also make mistake. Should not be worried about mistake. AA?
It's used for decision making.
If I ask you what is the purpose of AA, it's fine. I'm asking you to define AA.
Giving human intelligence to the machine.
Giving power to thinking power.
Human intelligence to the machine.
Thinking power to machine, then your human power to machine.
Human intelligence.
How can you give human intelligence to that? Partially right?
By the way of giving program.
Why only human? Right. See, what is the complement of artificial intelligence? Set theoretic complementation, I think. Or negation of artificial intelligence.
Human intelligence. Human intelligence.
Only human. Artificial means what? Manufactured, right? Opposite to that, natural. Right. So where all you can find natural intelligence? The intelligence created by God is natural. In what form it is there? In all living being forms it is there. No non-living item will have intelligence, right? We can mimic how the birds are, solving problems, how the fish is solving problem, how all the insects, you have algorithms mimicking how the cats are moving to find the food, how the dogs are moving to find the food, how the birds are moving flying to find the food, and all that we mimicked. There are AI algorithms only, right? If you try to mimic natural intelligence algorithmically, then that algorithm is called as artificial intelligence. Right? Natural intelligence versus artificial. Artificial is basically mimicking of natural intelligence. Mimicking means writing algorithm which is going as close as possible to the natural intelligence. So whatever we saw today is artificial intelligence or not? Yes or no? Why? Where are we mimicking natural intelligence? Natural language processing is not intelligence. What is the main component in all these models? Or only component, I can say. Neural network, right? We call it as encoder, decoder, whatever terms we use, all are related to dollar, right? Something like that. Everything that we speak, it's all related to neural network. So, is neural network mimicking of any natural intelligence? What is it is trying to mimic?
Human brain.
Human brain. Right. So, neurons are modeled as nodes, and the connection between neurons are modeled by edges here. So, therefore, this is artificial intelligence. So, any other queries? Any queries from your side? Yeah. For that, you need to define what is supercomputer. What is supercomputer? So, do we have supercomputers in India? Or which institute had first supercomputer? And what was the name of it? Param. Was with whom? Sir? See that. See that, yes. So that time, what was the definition of supercomputer? Per second, how many operations it can perform, roughly? Different laptops will do different number of operations in your laptop. Let's say Intel 7 or Intel 5. 25. Shall we take Intel 5? How many cores are there in Intel 5? Huh? 4 cores, right? Right. Okay, let us say 4 cores. And let's say, 2 software threads, right? And so 2 into 4, 8. At a time, you can do 8 operations parallelly. And if you use pipelining, let us say, almost the number of operations same as, per second, let us say, you do n operations. You can say n into 8, right? Okay. Let us say you have 1 gigahertz speed, right? So 1 gigahertz means 2 power 30, right? So 2 power 30 into 8 operations you can do per second. In the best case, there are other issues, pipeline halt and all that will be there. Let us ignore all that. So, in terms of supercomputer, we will not speak in terms of gigahertz. We will speak in terms of what's it?
Qubits.
No. No. Bits, right? Terahertz. Right. But gigahertz here. Right. What is the tera? What is giga? 2 power 30 is giga. What is tera? How many times Giga will become tera? Right, right. So if you have 1,000 computers that you have stacked together, then you can make as small as possible supercomputer. Right. Just give some perspective. But the number, 1 terahertz and all, is not acceptable supercomputer now. Many terahertz are used. So in terms of hardware only, we'll say it is supercomputer, not in terms of algorithms. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. So in terms of software, what speed will say, where time complex we will speak, whether the complexity is logarithmic or it is linear or it is exponential or polynomial time also. Any other query? Right. For running this AI algorithms, what sort of computer you should have? Maybe that's a good question to be asked. So if you use your laptop, it's not good enough. Because there are computers like deep learning engines. They have something known as graphics processing unit, and they have thousands of processors. See, in Intel, if you say quad core or octa core, only that much, it's 4 or 8. But there thousands of processors will be there, but each processor there is lightweight, not like the code that you have in Intel, which is general purpose code. And some simple additions of integers, simple multiplication of integers, you can do that. Floating point multiplication may not be able to do that. That's fine. All pixels are integers. So you can make use of those small codes, but multiple codes together, and you can do the job. That is called as deep learning engines. So for running your AI models, you have to buy deep learning engines. AX100 from NVIDIA, and there are other companies also. They are making graphics cards, GPUs. RTX is also another version. The AX100 is better, RTX, and there are we have GPU which involves 2-3 AX100. Every AX100 will cost around 10 lakhs. Okay, any other queries? Tired, right? I do. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
I would like to invite Ms. Ponmani, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks as we conclude the second section of the International Conference. First and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude to our Chief Guest, Dr. V. Masilamani, Professor and Dean, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Design and Manufacturing, Kanjipuram. Sir, your insightful presentation has given us a deep understanding of the potential and impact of Gen AI. We are truly grateful for your time and sharing your valuable thought with us today. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to express our thanks to our Secretary and Correspondent, Mr. P. Venkadachalam sir, Vice Principal and Controller of Examination, Mrs. S.A. Dhanalakshmi ma'am, Dean of Computer Science Department, Dr. P.M. Gomati ma'am, and heads of the department for their support and guidance. My heartfelt thank you to all our participants, students and faculties for your active performance. A special thanks to organizing committee, volunteers and technical team. Finally, I would like to thank one and all present here. Your support has made this event truly special. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
provided at the mess hall and the volunteers will guide you there. After the lunch break,
there is a possible of traffic. Traffic is nothing but where the packets are traveling in the networks. However, energy efficiency is challenged due to limited battery life of sensor nodes. Nodes is nothing but each device is connected in an IoT devices. Actually, this study enhances existing routing algorithm by incorporating energy prediction models to improve data transmission extended network life. The goal is to make data transmission smarter by using energy prediction models. These models can predict how much energy a node will use in the future, allowing the network to make better decisions about how the route data. That is nothing but each nodes will be given how much energy will be consumed to transfer the packets, and the route which is less traffic will be selected. Energy efficiency challenges. In 6G networks, the demand for fast speeds or more connected devices will grow. That is, the devices may increase and the packets also may increase. Traditional routing techniques lead to early node failure and short network lifespan. Here, network lifespan is nothing but the battery life. For example, if you are using mobile phone, if you are using from morning to evening, the battery life will be low. So that is I am mentioning here as a network lifespan. So these are some literature reviews I reviewed for my paper. So proposed methodologies I am using three. So these are some proposed methodologies. I am using 3 K metrics for my papers. One is energy consumption, packet delivery ratio, that is nothing but PDR, and next one is network lifetime. So this is my flow chart. I just mentioned my work in these flow chart. First one is starting, that is start simulations. Next one, I initialize the network, collect the data, predict node energy, evaluate routing path, transmit the data, update network, evaluate performance, and finally end simulations. So this is algorithm I used, that is intelligent energy prediction based routing, i.e. P.R. So this helps save energy in wireless sensor networks. It starts by setting up the network with nodes that have energy levels which are then tracked. The algorithm collects real-time data about energy, traffic and connections to change routing decisions we needed. It picks the best route based on these predictions to keep the internet running longer. The algorithm selects best possible route based on the predicted energy. That is, it will each packet needs some energy to transfer the packets, so the algorithm will choose the best route to transfer those packets. So this is some secondary data set. Secondary data sets is nothing but which is already existing data I took from internet for testing purposes. So here node ID, E initiate is nothing but initialization. Initial energy, how much it is needed. Next one is energy remaining. After transferring the packet, how many energy is having it. Next one is energy consumed. CONS is nothing but consumption. How much energy the packet have consumed. Next one is packet sent, packet received and packet delivery ratio, live status and node status. Live status is nothing but how many nodes is still live. Next one is energy consumptions. I have compared some protocols using this algorithm. So DBN, optimal CBR, PSO is some protocols and how much energy it has consumed. So what are the key metrics I evaluate is nothing but key energy consumption, packet delivery ratio and network lifetime. So this is also comparison graph. Actually I used the secondary data just compared with already existing algorithm and the algorithm I used. So results, improvement in PDR, 15% increases in successful packet delivery, network lifetime 30% longer, energy consumption is 25% reduction in energy usage compared to traditional methods. So the proposed algorithm overall offers several strengths which includes energy improvements in PDR, longer network lifespan and energy consumption. So conclusions, the proposed intelligent energy prediction, the algorithm adapts to change the network conditions, ensuring reliable data transmissions and extended network lifetime. This may be future work can be done. That is 60 features like edge computing also can be enhanced. So these are some reference book I refer. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next presenter is Ms. P. Vijayalakshmi.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am P. Vijayalakshmi, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science, P.K.R. My topic is AI powered automation for network management. Next. These are all the topic I'm going to cover. Next. So introduction about artificial intelligence, where here artificial intelligence is used to manage the network configuration, security management, fault identification. So here it increases the complexity because of IoT devices and more number of smartphones. Here the complexity is also increased, and the importance of efficient management. Here in order to manage the network, here the efficiency is also important factor. Next. And the role of artificial intelligence and machine learning in my topic is artificial intelligence is mainly used for decision making. Here, a human being, artificial intelligence is similar to a human brain, brain of a human being, and here it is mainly used to decision making where n number of data has been collected. This is not possible by a human being. And machine learning, a pattern recognition. In a machine learning, it is mainly used for pattern recognition, where here it identifies the pattern of a network traffic, which automate the tasks such as device identification and anomaly detection. And automation of device categorization. Through automation, we can calculate the device and what are all the devices which is available on the network, and this will reduce the manual interference in the network. Next. And challenges in the traditional network is that through manual device identification, there is a possibility for time and error issues. So to overcome that, here the automatic AI integration is very important, where this it is also a major fact on the impact of network efficiency. Next, scalability and real-time analysis. When we have a large number of network, the handling of large-scale network is very difficult task in the traditional method, and real-time anomaly detection is it is also one of a difficult task in the traditional method. And resource and cost implications, high resource utilization that may leads to a higher cost. That is, a maximum cost has been used for resources utilization. Next, ma. So automation and monitoring. In automating repetitive tasks, where here AI is used for automated tasks such as device identification and also device reducing the workload of the network administration in real time, which is more helpful for the anomaly detection in the real time. The next one, machine learning techniques. Supervised and unsupervised learning has been used. In my work, supervised learning is used for the label device identification, and unsupervised learning is used for unknown device identification. Here the data collection has been made for the device data such as log and metadata and network traffic patterns. And then feature extraction, it used to identify the IP address and MAC addresses of the devices. In model training and classification, in model training, I have trained the model by using an algorithm such as a random forest SVM or a neural network. We can use any one algorithm, and the data have classified the devices, and furtherly device status and types of the devices has been taken as an output. And the next one, key feature, automated discovery and monitoring is very helpful, and this, with the help of that we can enhance the security and scalability of the network. And case study, I have taken a smart city network scenario. The data collection from the IoT devices, here the data in a smart city have been collected because of IoT devices and smartphones, and the result accuracy of 95% has been accomplished by means of device identification, and 50% has been accomplished by means of
tracking of multiple human face using AI. So multiple faces வந்து ஈவெண்ட் டைமில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் நோட்டீஸ் பண்ணுறது இல்லை அதர் ஈவெண்ட்ஸில் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பார்க்கலாம். நிறைய இடத்துல வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டிராஃபிக் கேமராஸில் வந்து சிக்னல்ஸில் வந்து வச்சுருக்காங்க. ஸோ நம்பர் பிளேட்ஸை வந்து ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணுறது.
Thank you.